contract. It's now set for March 11th. The original date was this past Monday. Cavaliers practicing later on this morning at the team's complex in Independence. Cavs resume their season tomorrow night at home against Brooklyn. Cavs come into the All-Star break at 34-21. They've won 5 in a row. Winter Olympics this morning. Rocky River native Red Gerard going for gold this morning. The men's snowboard slope style event. Gerard currently 4th in that competition. Meanwhile, Sagamore Hills native Kira Dosa failed to reach the finals in freestyle skiing aerials. Also, women's curling this morning. The United States losing to Great Britain 8-7. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The Afternoon Drive.
The idea that Monken would like Deshaun Watson is nothing that seems foreign to anybody that's been paying attention to this.
On one hand, if they could move away, if they could just snap their fingers and Deshaun goes bye-bye and you don't have to have that conversation, do I think they would? Yes. If the salary cap wasn't real and you had another quarterback in place, you had this, that, or the other, I think they would, because it's been a failed experiment. But they don't have options. So why not? It's in their best interest to put this out there. Yeah, he looked great. And of course he's going to have a chance this year, because why would you say anything to the contrary?
Yeah, I'm expecting the next 7 months to be some conversation of I can't believe Deshaun Watson looks as good as he does.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Well, as of right now, we're at 3 different QBs that are possibilities. One who's not even with the organization right now, but the possibility of 3 different QBs being my starter. How can I say that this is closer to a long-term solution than it is to one and done? It's just not honest. I hope it's long-term. I hope that they can do things, but I hope a lot of things for the Cleveland Browns. If you want me to be brutally honest, I'm as brutally honest as it can be right now. Well, I hope that they're able to do this. I just don't know if I see it, because now you're starting the clock in the back of my head of what you're going to do with your general manager. And again, I bring up the quarterback situation. If we knew who the QB was going to be, I'd have a clearer picture. You can be a hardcore Shador, Deshaun, or I guess Malik Willis fan, but I think the general Browns public is like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's perfectly fine. But if you don't know, that means that, yeah, they're probably closer to being one and done than they are to being a long-term solution.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kenny.
We gotta have the voice guy record that.
Oh my God, yes. Wait, is that for? That's not for us. That's for okay. That's for someone else.
Somebody else.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, send that to Keith and the big voice guy made that.
It might be the meanest comment I've ever seen about a radio show.
All right. Good morning. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
There's a person. You see, this is a bad week. All right, I'm just going to come out. I have to tell you guys the truth at all times. Obviously, what Owen just played, it's like
to stop sniffing.
Ken's got to tell you guys the truth. I tell you the truth, so here's the truth. This week, and there's a week in mid-July around the All-Star break, these are dangerous times in sports content, whether it be in podcasts, radio, television, whatever, because they're dead periods in sports. All right? So you're hearing a lot of should we or should we get rid of All-Star games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
And we're guilty as charged.
The tanking NBA, how to fix it.
There you go. Guilty as charged. But there's, and by the way, that's all perfectly well and good. If you have an opinion on it, go right on ahead. But these are dangerous weeks, and let me tell you why. Because somewhere this week, one of us, or maybe all of us, depending, will say something stupid just to get through a segment.
This is the time. You're right.
Not like I got to open up a piece of paper and say, I'm very sorry I upset the fine folks at Fairview Park, Ohio. Like, not like that. I'm talking about like you say something and you just go with it to get through a segment, and then people know you as an idiot. Something you don't mean. Like, if I believe in it, damn it, I'm willing to go headlong.
Like, this is the time of year where you might slip up. You look at the clock. You're like, man, we need another 4 minutes here. And then you say something like, yeah, the Browns should trade a second-round pick for J.J. McCarthy.
Well, I was going to go somewhere else with it. You psycho. Jeez.
We all are guilty.
It wasn't me.
Hey, there's plenty to go after me for, but we're all guilty.
Wasn't me.
Was this the time of the year that I said going after Deshaun Watson was a good idea?
You did that monthly.
No, it had to be this time of year.
No, we started in October that time. And a lot of people agreed with
Who's
you.
to say? I can't remember these.
And a lot of people just called, oh, Ken, it's not. Oh, you're such a baby, Ken. Yeah, it ended up being, well, you know what? We'll find out this year because they'll probably get a crack at it. Anyway.
6 years later.
So this is why I bring this up. Yeah. Oh, you don't know, Ken. Yeah, 6 years after the fact. All right. Okay. Anyway, you can bring Y.A. Tittle back from the grave, see if he's got any gas left. So this is why I bring this up. Around the NFL, according to Matt Okada of NFL Media.
Manicotti?
No, Matt Okada.
Mamma mia.
I'm sorry, I said it a little quickly. Matt Okada. The post is Browns cornerback Denzel Ward among Matt Okada's notable cut candidates. And my first thought was,
It's a spicy meat the ball, Kenny.
at first I said the F word, and then I said, does he not know how caps work?
Yeah.
Isn't that part of your job over there, buddy?
Now, what's the cap hit?
$30 million nearly.
Oh, that's a biggie.
The problem is, he writes here, the problem is money. Ward carries a $32.9 million cap hit in 2026, highest on the team outside of Deshaun Watson, and the Browns could save $20 million by designating him as a post-June 1 cut. There's always that post-June 1. You always got to keep an eye on that. Cleveland is $2.3 million under the cap. It needs heavy improvement across all areas of the roster to work its way out of the AFC North cellar. Given what he's meant to the team, he's wanting to cut Denzel Ward. He says he's a candidate. And I said, absolutely, no, stupid. No, absolutely not. I understand there's space to fill, but no. And I'm just like, well, it's one of the worst weeks of the year for sports content. So people are going to say things to fill up. They have a quota they got to fill, and damn it, they're going to fill it. And that's the way it's going to go, no matter what we want to say.
Don't you cut players that have no trade value anyway?
You would. Well, that's the issue here, is I said, well, you'd never cut him. This year, you'd never cut him. I mean, he may go out there and be 32 years old at some point, and that's it. He's 29 now. But you wouldn't cut him. But would you trade him? And, I thought about it as I was driving yesterday, and I still said, well, no. No. Now, I think for a lot of people, I'll be open-minded to the other side of this, because I think the other side of this looks and goes, guys, what are we holding on to? It's the same thing with Myles Garrett. If you can get so much from Myles Garrett, why wouldn't you get so much from Myles Garrett? What are we holding on to? We won 5 games this year. What are we holding on to? I understand that, but they have made their choice abundantly clear that they want to hold on to these players, to the fact that they were willing to do what it took to try to hold on to Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. So again, this whole offseason's bizarre because they think they're closer than what a lot of fans think they are. That's what they made changes on offense. There's very little change on defense, even though it's a big change when you go into a different defensive coordinator, guy who's never actually, put signals out there before. That's a pretty big change. But to them, it's like, hey, we still have the same personnel. It's not broke. You don't have to fix it. And I'm thinking, no, I don't know if there's a price that you could get for him that's realistic. And speaking of other shows, I did hear, and I'm not taking shots at them, like JP had said yesterday that maybe they could get a first-round pick. And I go, I just don't think you get a first-round pick out of Denzel Ward. I think the only guy you're getting a first-round pick out of is Myles Garrett. Now, you're getting multiple first-round picks for him, but I don't think you're getting a first-round pick out of Denzel Ward, considering the history.
Yeah, it's year 9.
Injury history, I should say.
How many concussions has he had?
I think 7 documented.
Yeah, I'm looking, I remember the Jalen Ramsey trade, and that was, after his 4th year in the league.
And I understand that there's still a lot there where the history is not very good body-wise, things like that. But you can clearly tell when he's on the field. I mean, he's as good as he's been. He's as good as he's been. He's the best corner the Browns have had since 1999. Personally, I'm not taking shots at anybody else. I just don't really think it's that close. I think he's easily the best corner that they've had since 99. Again, no shots at all. I know who's in that category. Denzel clearly shows that there's a difference when he's on the field and when he's not on the field with this secondary. And if they're going to hold on to these guys, then why on earth would you trade him? I think that there's Myles up front and then there's Denzel in the secondary, and I think you cut off the head of a very poisonous snake if you were to trade Denzel Ward, because I'm thinking, well, if you're going to trade Denzel Ward, why stop there? I mean, honestly, Denzel Ward, and again, like the other guy, like when they cut Joe Hayden, people went crazy because to me, it was the signaling of, oh God, they're going to do it. They're going to go right into we're not winning games, or we're not going to do this on purpose. If they were to cut Denzel Ward, then that's your big beacon of, hey, we're not trying this year. We're going to jump into the market for quarterback X. That's what we're going to do. Like, that's what it would say to me. If they were to trade him, cutting him's out of the question. That's bad value. You'd rather hold on to him for the love of God. But trading him, that is a conversation to have. Now, there's a million reasons what I just said you wouldn't trade him for. Other part is, like, yeah, there is something where he is from here. Like, he is a local guy. His mother's very involved here. Family's very involved here. That's not a very good thing to do with the fan base.
Yeah, people watch him since high school.
I think he's a very popular player. I think he's underrated because he's popular because he's quiet. He's not a very boisterous guy. He's opened up a little bit more at the media over recent years, but he's still a pretty quiet guy.
I'm shocked. He's never been an All-Pro, which I just looked up.
Which is incredible to me.
Joe Hayden was second-team All-Pro 1 year.
Yeah.
But I know it's hard.
Did you disagree
it's
with me
hard.
that Denzel's the best?
I was trying not to be caught up in the moment and think about what we felt about Joe Hayden when he was.
But Joe was great.
Yeah,
Joe is number 2.
Yeah.
But I think there's Joe and a couple of spots, and I think there's Denzel Ward. Mm-hmm. I can only call it how I see it. That's all.
Yeah.
Number 2 is still pretty damn good, considering there's been a hell of a lot of corners that have come out here and have sucked out loud. Joe Hayden was a good corner for this football team.
I'm trying to think of
really good.
What offer. Like, we knew, the Myles Garrett thing, that was going to be we knew we'd get a haul for Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And he would get us back in return, before he signed the massive new contract extension. We knew that we were going to get, like, the biggest haul you could possibly get for somebody like that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, guy just set the sack record, my God. So with Denzel, it's a little bit trickier of a conundrum because at this stage, like, if somebody right now put a number 1 on the table, would that, my God, next year's draft, which I don't think they would, because next year's draft is next year's draft.
I just don't think you're getting a number 1.
But would that change your mind?
I don't think you're getting a first-round pick for him.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm not going to sit there and say absolutely not for a first-round pick next year. But I think that there's more ramifications to this.
That would be, talk about the perfect time to get out of the Denzel Ward business, which I don't want to get out of. But going into year 9 and a first-round pick in next year's draft, oh, my God. Like,
you see how a lot of things
you kind of got to be logical about it.
I mean, there's so many times where you want to talk about the van. Remember my dad's van club?
Yeah. I go to bed thinking about that van club now that you opened the curtains. Were there curtains on the van?
Oh, yeah, in the back window. Mid-Ohio Van Enthusiast, by the way. Shout out to the now defunct group, sad to say. Might come up during 2-second trivia week and win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals later on. I don't know. You better be listening at 7:45. Like, my dad never intended to sell the van. Guy walks by. Hey, great van. I want to be a part of it. And my dad says, he goes, it does take up a lot of space. I don't drive it as much. It's not as practical. It's got this big 350 in it, so it's not like we're going around. I don't ride dirt bikes as much anymore. And then all of a sudden you start thinking about it. Like, the Browns, I don't think, are in the market to trade Denzel Ward unless the market comes to them. So if you brought a first-round pick to me and I knew bona fide, I can get a first-round pick. Hope I didn't shake the camera. I'm sorry. A bona fide first-round pick. I have to consider that, obviously. Trading him or cutting him, not even a conversation. Trading him, yet there's a conversation there. We're having it, but I think that there's other ramifications that happen. If I'm willing to trade Denzel Ward for a first pick, what is stopping me from trading away Myles Garrett? What is stopping me from trading Grant Delpit? What is stopping me? And you can sit there and go, dead cap, things like that, this, that, and the other. I obviously am planning to not compete anyway. So this is what happens here over the next few weeks, is that there's going to be a conversation that happens. I know that, I was listening to some things on the way in, and I know that they're going to try to move Tua over the next few weeks, and I'm going, okay, things are going to get nuts. There's going to be different trade conversations, so Denzel Ward's name will get brought up. Not for Tua. I'm just pointing out that there will be names that are brought up. And I'm thinking, well, I think we have to be prepared. But if you're going to go second round, you could get a second round pick for him. But I just don't know if you're going to get a first rounder because of the significant injury history that's there. I think a lot of Browns fans feel, gosh, you hate to say it, one more, that could be the end of the line. And I think a lot of Browns fans were to go, well, Kenny, if you're going to get a first round pick out of him, they look at me like suggestively with their eyes, and I'm going, man, it's not that easy.
No,
he's been the best since '99. Yeah, it's a tough decision to make. But if the market comes to you, yeah, then all of a sudden I'd start thinking, well, he's got those injuries, and I know when he's the best. He's the best. He's at his best. He's one of the best. But what's the return? How good are we really going to be this year? What is our quarterback situation? Boy, a first-round pick could really come in handy next year. You start to weigh that stuff. So while I think that this is complete Bolsheviks of what I'm reading here from NFL.com about Denzel Ward to cut him, I do think it's a conversation about the possibilities of trades. And if that is the case, I need to warn, if you're going to trade one, well, then you've opened up the floodgates for a lot of other guys on what is an elite defense. And you slam the door shut, which I think, there's the other side, which I'm not going to disregard and say that they're ridiculous in their thought, where it's like, well, if the other side can't get their head out of their ass, then what's the point, Kenny? Fair enough. Because if the offense can't get going, then what's the point of having this great defense?
You just saw two really good...
It's just a waste and frustration.
You saw two really good defenses with nowhere near the star power of Myles Garrett in the Super Bowl. You saw these great defenses in the playoffs, and you're watching going, hopefully we don't squander this. Hopefully that we're able to get this offense up to speed as soon as humanly possible so that there's,
That's the major
a way
problem.
to maximize all this.
That's the major problem here. It's another year where you see great players on the football field on one side of the ball, and they're not able to contribute in going to the playoffs because you can't do anything offensively. That's something you have to get figured out. 216-474-0092. It's called Garbage Pick Up for a reason, and you can doubt a lot of things, but you can't doubt Lima sources, not after the story that broke last night. It's all coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan.
XTENDAV.com.
Keep the cold out. Pella windows and doors are on sale now with 15% off a Pella project or 0% interest for a year. Call 877-98-PELLA or visit PellaCleveland.com for a free consultation.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
You can doubt a lot of things. You can't doubt Tone's sources. More on that coming up in a moment. However, he has something very important to share with everybody. I think that this is you and your family, and your outrage is completely correct, but go right on ahead.
I was on the phone with Kenny. This is where a lot of the source material comes from. In our neck of the woods in Bay Village, it was Garbage Day, or the remnants of Garbage Day. By the way, any Wiggles fans know they call it in Australia bin night. It's called bin night.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Nope.
Just file that away.
Nope, not going to do it.
Anyway, so the next day, there's always some loose garbage, all over the streets, all over the neighborhood. And there's some pretty obvious items that have spilled out. The overflow from the garbage. We got like a one-man crew. Are they all one-man crew these days when it comes to Garbage Day?
Well, it depends. So are you guys a one team, one town? Like you do it all on
I think so.
Tuesday, the whole town.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Oh, really?
We used to, when I first moved to Avon Lake, it was that way, and now it is, I'm a Monday guy. But
Yeah.
there's zone whatever is Tuesday.
Yeah.
We're
you know.
separated, yeah.
And it's like a one-man operator,
Right.
because they've got the
Generally,
hydraulics and
Is it all
robotics.
recycling in one truck? We have
That's a different truck.
and
yeah.
then we have a bulk guy. Bulk has two guys, right?
They should.
'Cause Bulk's going to have to do a little throw-in.
Boy,
right?
they're putting in so much more work, the bulk
are.
guys. Shout
And
out to
it
the bulk
depends,
guys.
do the bulk guys come first, or do they? On my street, the trash guys come before the bulk guys.
Seems
but
like
I've seen
going-
a lot of bulk guys before trash guys.
No rhyme or reason. You don't mess with the bulk guys.
Sometimes they're mixed in.
No.
They're quite literally doing the heavy lifting.
Oh, yeah. You learn very quickly
Yeah.
when you own a home that you don't mess with the garbage people.
And you want to get them on your side.
they're
You'll,
good, yeah.
you'll acquiesce to anything. Hey, they say, hey, could you put, because of the trees on the lawn here, could you have the recycling bin over there? My machine doesn't really get anyway.
But of course, the bin guys are generally one guy because they have the hydraulic.
Yes,
on, right?
but what happens? There is the spillover. There's the stuff that doesn't make it into the truck. He doesn't have time to get out. He'll never get it done if he has to go out and take care of the overflow or the spillage.
Yeah.
So all this is to say that I wonder about the mindset of the people that take the garbage out, because I'm starting to sense that people feel like once they put their garbage in the bin and once they wheel that bin out to the road, that's it. They are done with that garbage once and for all, because I am seeing a lot of debris that nobody seems to want to tend to after Garbage
So
Day.
you said Sarah was running down the street. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
And were they empty?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought people were just leaving like open cases of beer sitting around.
No.
I'm like, well, allow me to come on over.
Right.
So these are empty beer cans, like in a case, and they fell out, and they're all over in front.
And it's clear whose it was, or you can narrow it down to which of the houses
Does
that
this have-
belong to.
These 4 houses.
Does it happen a lot?
Yeah.
So this is my issue with it, and I think a public service needs to be said. I took umbrage with. Now, there's a lot of times where I'm just not on your wife's side for obvious reasons. I am fully on her side here because as we're living in a society. As a tax-paying American citizen, should you or should you not, if it spills over, go ahead and pick it up? They're not supposed to just get out of the truck every time it spills over. You're supposed to keep it within the container.
And again,
now
the truck and the entire operation is not coming again for a full week.
That's what I'm
God
pointing
forbid
out.
there's a holiday. Then it's another day.
So if I got 3 kids, you got 6. I'm sure there's times where the lip of it is up because you
Never, because
overfilled
we
it.
stay on top of it.
Exactly. Oh,
We asked for a bigger bin. You can do that.
really?
I didn't even know.
Oh, you got to pay a little extra, but
They
guys,
offer larger
offer a
bins.
bigger bin?
You guys know what I'm making here. I can afford a bigger bin.
I didn't know you could ask for a bigger bin. I thought you could ask for an extra
But
bin.
it depends who your
Pay more,
who your
obviously.
provider is. There's
I didn't
several
know
providers
that.
in the area.
Oh,
I don't
hell.
want to name one out specifically.
No, you don't want to do that. No,
You
but
might not have a relationship with them.
But there's times where the lip of it, the lid, you can see this on YouTube Live, is over the horizon.
But of course.
and then you have a little bit more that's in there. And sometimes depending on it, especially with like the loose leaf paper and stuff, because people just throw that in the recycle bin, it tends to come out.
Yeah, that's the easiest, the first to come out.
Guys,
flutters down. Yeah.
It's your responsibility.
Just put it back.
Now,
if it's out in front of your house, you got to take care of what's out in front of your house.
I've got to ask you a couple questions to follow this up. So the garbage truck has already come through, and now are we the next day? Do you know if these people have left and come home yet? Do they even know that it's...
Right. So obviously you give a little wiggle room, a little leeway.
Period, right?
But it is something that, like, clearly the next day, especially if you've had like a renovation project or whatever, not everything's going to make it to the final destination. So if it's there the next day, I mean, obviously, or that night when you get home from work, you got to put it back in the bin and wheel the bin back. That's the deal. It's not just the community. It's everybody in it for themselves, because if a whole community operated that way, this would be out of control.
I'm not asking.
This would be chaos.
But what I'm pointing out is,
some would say New York right now.
I don't know who your neighbor is, but if you have a neighbor named like Roger or something, I'm not expecting Roger to go walking up and down the street picking garbage from the sidewalks and things like that. But if it's out in front of your house, like I live at the end of I live at the end of a circle. All right, the wind blows.
On all your success.
The wind blows west. So if anything falls out from up the road, it tends to go in my yard or Bob's yard.
It trickles its way down.
It blows west usually, and it blows into our yard. And if I can't catch it, unfortunately, it goes into the swamp.
The swamp.
And every fall,
along with all of Axel's old toys that got tossed out there.
That is true.
In a fit of rage.
I only do that to set the tone for the day. However, every fall when the leaves fall, because I'm not going out there because I'm afraid of snakes during the summer, I have to go and pick a little bit of garbage out that has blown out towards the swamp to make sure it looks okay. Except for a great big wooden table, I just threw that back home.
That's right.
But either way,
you don't want your swamp cluttered.
You don't want. Well, you don't. It looks like you don't want old Dorito bags and things like that.
I think I helped Kenny with that wooden table. I think I helped him.
Which one?
What was the thing that I carried out of here that was not an easy task, and it lasted one day at the Carman household?
No, I set that on fire.
That was a buffet or something?
The credenza is still there. The credenza looks amazing, and that thing is 700 pounds. It is so effing heavy, but it looks amazing, and it's still there because it ain't going anywhere because it's so damn heavy. But I feel very strongly about this because I've thought about this for a long time. It's out there. All you have to do is pick a piece of garbage, lean over, pick it up.
It just makes it.
Pick up the garbage.
You
Be
guys
a grown
don't have
man.
a good Samaritan on your street that cleans that for you?
You shouldn't need a good Samaritan. You are the good Samaritan.
We had a guy, he just moved. He just sold his house. He lived down the block, but he would walk his dog every day, and he was the good Samaritan. And I'm worried about this spring.
Man, you lose that guy.
Like.
You're right with the thaw and everything. And if we get another snow
He's
and a
also
thaw,
the guy that would tell you, hey, there was a blue sedan that drove up and down the street 3 times today from 2:15 to 2:18. Just so you know, keep your eyes open.
they'll be on the watch.
The blue sedan.
He's just always vigilant on what's going on in the neighborhood.
Well, there's a nice how do you do.
And now he's gone, so now my street's going to be trashed.
All right, so Jason Lloyd posted something yesterday, and it made me think of you. And even though because Twitter's messed up and I can't post it up here because it's always hard to find things because I don't pay for Twitter now. Well, I've never paid for Twitter, but I'm not going to pay for Twitter, so I can't. It takes forever to search for things, damn it. Anyway, all right, here we go. Lima, you brought this up a couple of weeks ago. You knew somebody that was in a resort in Pennsylvania who might have been around, the name I'm going to mention here. Jason Lloyd, the Browns and Joel Bitonio agreed to push the void date back on his contract until the end of the league year in March, according to a source. It gives Bitonio about 3 more weeks to decide on his future. The previous deadline was yesterday. And your source, who was in this Pennsylvania resort a couple weeks ago, was saying that he's actually kicking around coming back, which I thought this was about. I mean, when you're getting emotional at the end, maybe it's all said and done here. We have something here for everybody. Go right on ahead.
Joel at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into words. I just try to give it everything. So it's tough. You try and go out there and be the best version of yourself and do what you can to help the team win. And I try to do that every day. That's what I did.
So I figured when you get emotional, right. that's probably it.
We all thought it was over.
And then you had somebody, and I'm like, well, I think that's kind of wishful thinking. I think it's about 90% over. But if he's pushing back the date, I think that this is a conversation. Like, if you have him back, is he what he was at 26? Probably not, but
is he better than what we probably will have next year?
Yes. I mean, think about this. It seems that you have
what
no.
if his body's telling him no, but his heart's telling him, like, I still want to be, I still have a year. I still have
and his
2
accountant
years.
is saying, we need one more year.
His wife's saying, go get one more contract.
I mean,
Her
if he
stylist
feels,
is saying we need at least 2 more years.
If he feels physically up to the challenge, you're only going to be an athlete for so long. Now, I don't want him at the end. Like, I remember when Tony Pashos was here for like the 1 year, and I felt bad about this because I ripped him up and down. He was playing right tackle, but he couldn't walk. He physically couldn't do it. And I didn't know the difference because I was 25 and stupid at the time and didn't realize. And I'm older and not that much smarter, but I still understand better. And for Joel, it's like, I don't want him out there limping around for crying out loud, but I also know that the guy's not going to put himself in a position where he just collects a check. So I still say, I wonder, I don't think there's any harm. I don't think there's any harm in bringing back the grand old man for another year if he wants to, and putting him back out there at guard, because I don't think I'm sad to say I don't know if you have any inclination to bring back Wyatt Teller, much to my chagrin. And the other thought of it is that Zach Zinter looked decent when he came in, but for most of the year, they didn't trust him to even suit him up. So does that automatically make him a guy who's a replacement? Most guys aren't going to replace a borderline Hall of Famer, but you put yourself in a much better position if you have him and he can go. As long as he can go and you have him, you put your offensive line in a little bit better of a position, especially with what Daniel Jeremiah has you doing, which is taking 2 offensive linemen in the first round.
I wouldn't even be begging Joel to play in all 17. I'd be like, could you just be available for most of the year at this stage?
Well,
because it's really hard. If one of the big criticisms of the Browns and Andrew Berry has been, how did you not foresee this offensive line Armageddon shaping up in the future? And,
I think they did, though.
Well, he'd argue, we drafted guys. We did bring in, guys that just haven't panned out.
Yeah.
But on paper, I just saw again another graphic that said free agent on that offensive line. And it's all culminating into this offseason. So it's like, well, if you can get 1 more year out of him, and is there something you could do with Wyatt Teller that makes sense? When, man, a year ago, I thought this was it for Wyatt Teller.
I think I'd love to have. Well, I don't know if there's anybody who wouldn't love to have Joel Bitonio back. And if I could get Wyatt Teller back, I just need guys I can trust. Joel I can trust. I know I can trust Wyatt Teller. If I got 2 rookie offensive linemen, like Daniel Jeremiah has you taking Spencer Fano out of Utah and Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, who are 2 offensive linemen, or a lineman, or I should say tackles. Now, I know what you have with DeJuan Jones. You're hoping he could come back. You've had 3 straight years of injuries. I can't guarantee that he's going to be available to you. So if you have a veteran presence at the guard position on either side or both sides, I mean, you got something that's helpful there that can get these guys set up in the right position and get their feet into the future the right way. 216-474-0092. Coming up at 7:45, 2-second trivia. Your chance to win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals. And I have a very strong take that might get me in a lot of trouble with a lot of Guardians fans. I might be willing to give Paul Dolan a pass this summer. Ken Carman, Tone Master General on the Fan.
Start your dream project at choicecabinet.com.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
You know what I said about saying stupid things to get through a segment this week because this is one of the two slowest times in sports during the year? I might be accused of that coming up here in about 3 minutes. 216-474-0092. Lima, you had sources a couple of weeks ago. Somebody who was in a Pennsylvania Dutch country resort who might have been around Joel Bitonio said, hey, I don't know if you can just say he's not coming back. And I went, well, that'd be nice, but I mean, judging by everything I heard, and we played the audio of Joel kind of tearing up at the end of it, that probably he's not going to be coming back. But if they're moving back the date that he has to make the void happen, then maybe he's really considering it. Maybe there's a strong possibility that he would come back for the Cleveland Browns. And if he does, I would welcome him back. It wasn't like he was at the very end and we were watching a guy be a shell of his former self. I don't think that was the case at all. And I don't think if you brought him back, he's not just here for a paycheck. There's a lot of personal pride there. You know, whatever you want to say about the organization, you can't say anything about Joel Bitonio in a negative light. I mean, he's a professional in every single sense of the word.
It is funny how people talk about offensive linemen once they become favorable when the way people talk about them. Like, you'll never hear anybody go after those guys once they're just good. Even if they start slipping a little bit. And it is funny, when an offensive lineman starts slipping a little bit, it does become jarring because you're used to a guy just never being heard from. Like, you'll when a guy, like, think about it. Obviously, Joe Thomas at another level. But the way we talk about really good offensive linemen in this league, and then I remember there was a game that Trent Williams this year, one of the great pass rushers, I don't remember who it was, got around him, and even the broadcasters were like, whoa, like you're just not used to that.
Yeah, doesn't happen. 216-474-0092. Drake in Cleveland, you're first up on the Fan. Hello. Drake? I'm hearing nothing on the other end. Are we having a problem here? Hold on. Let me get to Rodney in Litchfield. Rodney, you there?
Good morning, gentlemen.
All right, it was Drake. Cut Drake off. Don't care about him. Go ahead, Rodney.
I got to tell you a quick, when I sit and listen to you guys talk, I'm the guy that walks the dog. I'm the guy that's at the cul-de-sac at the end on the west end. We could be neighbors. You described me to a T, and we live out in the country, and we're in a small development.
Uh-huh.
I just picked up, and it's always recyclables, right? Generally, they dump the recyclables and stuff blows everywhere. The sad thing is 8 or 10 of these pieces of paper had the people's name and address on them. You'd think they'd want it picked up.
Well, you got to be careful about that stuff. You got to shred your valuables when it's time for them to go.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Rodney. What else were you going to say?
So, one other thing. They're the people that would put their trash out a day early, not in a bin. We're out in the country. Guess what the raccoons do with that stuff?
They get it.
But anyway.
I had a bad situation about a few months ago. Yeah, they steal their identity with their Social Security number. There's raccoons everywhere collecting pensions. People don't realize it. Go ahead, Rodney.
Here's what I think about Garrett and Ward. The talk. Would you trade them? Yeah. For the right value. This is what I think of the Haslam's. They will make that deal if it makes them money. They're not making that deal to make the team better. That's how I feel about them. That's what I've seen the last 10 years. And I got to tell you, I got 8 or 10 friends that have season tickets. I'm down to now 4 or 5 friends that have season tickets, and they didn't die, and we did not become friends. They're losing seats. I would love to know what the waiting list is now for season ticket holders, if there even is one. I would say there's not.
Well, wait a minute. So did they signed Deshaun Watson to a $235 million contract or whatever it was guaranteed to not win?
I would say they did it to fill seats, not to win. That would be my opinion. And there's a difference.
He's like one of the most unpopular dudes, though, in the league.
I totally disagree with you, man.
I don't know where he is now.
Well, that's fine. You can disagree, and that's why we have friendly conversation.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them do that much yet to make this team better. Name the stuff they've done. The Watson trade didn't make this team better, and you could say they tried.
You're living in hindsight with that, though, Rodney. They were trying to be better, and that's
I'm telling you, they tried to get him, and what did Watson say? I'm not coming here. We've had this discussion before. Us, they wanted Watson. He didn't want to come here.
Yeah,
more money, more. If you're trading for somebody who doesn't want to be here, you're not making your team better.
Well, I'll tell you, Rodney. I thank you for the call. I'm going to have to respectfully, as much as possible.
Popularity contest of it all.
They didn't do that to sell tickets. I mean, they knew they were going to get lambasted in the media. They were. They knew that they were going to have very upset fans. They had even more upset fans than they even realized. I mean, they have. If anything, they've done wildly unpopular things in the name of being told that they were going to win at the end of that.
Would it have mattered if whether or not Deshaun Watson wanted to be here or not? Had he have been good, had he have been his old self, I think it would have made the team better. The problem was he was not his old self. Wasn't remotely that.
This just kind of goes with what we were going to talk about later on. Like there's very little excitement. There's you're holding on. I'm holding on to Joel Bitonio. I'm holding on to guys from the past. We spent time talking about Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, the whole thing, guys who remind us of a greater time. There's very little excitement for the future. And it comes to a point where they just lose, and so we say things to ourselves to make it somewhat rational because they lose so many times, and they lose so often, and they seem to get in their own way even for trying. I mean, I don't think that they've made decisions just to fill up seats here over these last 10 years. Because there's been a lot of things that, it wouldn't fill up seats. Deshaun Watson did not fill up seats. I think that they knew they were going to take a hit when they brought in Deshaun Watson, and they did. And I think that they convinced themselves that he was going to be good enough to overcome, and he was far from it. One of the worst ever. 216-474-0092. Can I say this before? Because I was planning to do this earlier, but then, oh gosh. So Stephen Vogt told the media in a off session with Zach Meisel, I think Tim Stebbins from MLB.com was there, and they wrote it that he told the players in his address to them that the goal is to win the World Series. Obviously, you've been to the postseason twice. Is it possible for me to say, as I put my head in my hands, knowing that this is going to get killed, but I have to think about it in a rational sense? Can I spend one summer considering that Tony, what's his name, has already resigned?
Clark?
Tony Clark had already resigned from MLBPA. Now, there was maybe some other extenuating circumstances there that were reported. Tony Clark has already stepped aside. It seems that we are going to be digging our heels into this might be the last baseball season for a while. I don't know if we're going to go into next spring getting ready to play Major League Baseball. The Guardians are near the bottom or at the bottom of payroll, depending on whose metrics you look at. Is it okay for me to give Paul Dolan a pass this summer? Can I give Paul Dolan a pass for one summer? Because I don't think that there's any places other than Los Angeles and the Mets and maybe a little bit of the Yankees. But even the Yankees, if you've noticed, have started to pull a little bit of the belts a little bit and have tightened the belts a little bit. Is it possible? I want your answer at 7:01, okay? Is it possible for me to give Paul Dolan a pass this summer, knowing that we're going into financial uncertainty in Major League Baseball? Or do I have to hammer them for being at the bottom of the payroll this year? Because I try to look at it in a realistic sense. I don't know if I would make those investments. I don't know if I would put a bunch of money out there knowing that I don't know what's going to be coming up this coming summer, in this coming spring. Knowing that, they can't draw a check if they're not playing. I understand that. But why would I make so many things happen if I know I'm not going to have a season to come? Or if I know that I'm going to have a shortened season or the possibility of no season to come? 216-474-0092. I'm feeling it very strongly, and I know what I'm going to get accused of, and I kind of want to give him a pass for this summer. Answer me at 7:01, won't you, on the Fan? Friends, Ken Carman here from Northeast.
playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
I'm thinking about giving Paul Dolan a pass for the summer. And whether or not Lima thinks that that's a good idea. Also at 7:20, you wouldn't believe who thinks he's the scapegoat for the Cavs' early season struggles. It's not who you think, everybody. Oh, boy. That coming up at 7:20. Also this morning, you can win a 4-pack of combo meals to Mr. Hero, 2-second trivia. But you have to answer 2 questions within 2 seconds each. That's how 2-second trivia works. If you win it, you get the 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals. It's absolutely glorious. 216-474-0092. So my reasoning for it is this. Now, Lima, you've been the guy. I've called you Paul. I've called you Anthony Dolan before. We've had the jokes here and there. I've been pretty critical of Paul Dolan in the past. It just for the simple fact of just some of the messaging that's gone out there. It's like, you run a fine franchise. He really does. They run a consistent franchise. We're not all fans all the time of everything that they do. They put on a good show, and I understand that there's market constraints. But when there's been chances to really dive in, have they always been willing to do it? Well, you hear a few things here and there about what they might have been willing to do, what they haven't been willing to do, but this is where it is. I think I'm a little bit more understanding this summer because of what's to come in the next labor negotiation and how it seems to be that after this coming summer, we might not have half a season next year or even a whole season next year or any season next year for all that's matter. And I'm thinking, well, we do the same old, same old. They don't spend money. We yell at them for not spending it. And what they do is they play just good enough to make you upset. Terrible thing to say. That's the truth. They get to the ALCS, they get the ALDS, and you're thinking, man, if you would have just done a little bit more. And it's a good problem to have. I'd rather be the Guardians than the Pirates. Or I should say I'd much rather be a Guardians fan than a Pirates fan or even a Reds fan and some of the other fans, for crying out loud. So it's a good problem to have, but it also is a frustrating problem. And I'm thinking, boy, would I want to put myself out there for all this money, not knowing that there's going to be a season next year? I just don't think I could personally do it. If I were the owner of the club, why would I expect Paul Dolan to do it? And there's no kind about it. I think I'm going to give him a pass for the summer. Well, I've thought about this for a few weeks now, and I've tried to look at it from different angles. I think I'm going to give him a pass for the summer, Tone.
I will say that I've kind of had the mindset, it feels like over the last decade, where in the offseason, instead of getting mad at the Guardians, I just don't pay them any attention. And that is how I have come to grips with it. That has been my own way to kind of handle their situation, because I get it. The people that get mad and call the Dolans cheap every day, this has been the Guardians / Indians lot in life now for a long period of time. And I used to get frustrated. I used to be that fan. And then once the season starts, and they've made the playoffs 7 out of 10 years. They've now been able to do it spanning 2 different GMs, and the teams are completely different from the 2016 World Series team that blew the 3-1, unfortunately, but got there and gave us some of my best memories of my adult life when it comes to baseball. I've been able to just, once the season starts, jump on the bandwagon. But in the offseason, irrelevant.
Well, there's no reason.
And they have been irrelevant for a long period of time. I saw the Tigers, besides the fact they kept Skubal for one more year with the arbitration. I think he got almost $40 million or $35 million in arbitration, a one-year deal, and then he'll be gone. They went and signed another pitcher, Valdez.
They brought back Justin Verlander.
They brought back Verlander, whatever, just kind of a splash move, just name-wise.
$13 million doesn't fall off of trees.
$13 million would be the biggest free agency spending for us.
Yeah.
And I get it. We did the Jose Ramirez thing, but I was so not focused on Jose. Like, maybe it's because I just assumed Jose would be here. That didn't register to me as much as it did other fans. Maybe that was more symbolic. I will say, like, you're talking about Dolan. I'm starting to not even think about Dolan. I'm starting to think about, the next owner.
Blitzer.
And Blitzer,
Really?
who apparently has been in all their big meetings. Now this.
Well, I think he's going to end up taking over sooner than what we might have thought.
Which is true, which means, am I supposed to start going after him? Because I did tell everybody for years, you guys assume a new owner taking over is going to mean this big jump in spending. And I'm like, no, I think he's going to count beans like the Dolans did.
We have been lockstep on that.
So now I'm starting to think about him. And if he's going to be in all these meetings, and this is a big year for them following last year's, playoff berth, albeit almost improbable the way things went.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's who I'm starting to focus on. And so that's gonna be the guy that's going to earn the scorn and ridicule if he doesn't start spending money.
Well, because before, when people would go, well, Paul Dolan's one of the richest owners in professional sports, it's like, well, we'd always have to go, well, that's a family trust, and to get to any of that money, it needs to be voted on. I don't know how the family has done it.
I don't I think that's.
I understand that.
I think
but
that's such baloney. Like, are you entitled? I always ask: is Elon Musk's 20th kid? Is he entitled to the Elon Musk fortune?
Well,
I'm pretty sure that individual can't just go spending like crazy.
You might want to put the safety on that. I mean, do whatever you want. Coming in hots at 9:45 on Friday. Well, I've heard, I don't mean to bog it down, but you've heard things about the family. And to get to that money, you have to go through all these hoops and people have to vote on it and things like that.
They can't get to the money. That's what I'm saying.
And then also to be able to even do things with the ball club, like there's his brother, there's his sister that's involved. But it's like, well, your name's on the masthead there. Your name's there as the controlling owner, the managing partner. So you're the one that people are going to go after, and that's just tough bleep. You're going to have to deal with that. So that's part of it, too. When it comes to the new owner, I've been with you the entire time. I think there might be a splash move that's given at the very beginning, and then I'm going to wonder, well, you're an independent. You don't need I don't believe you need the approval of family members to be able to go and get more money. So if the Guardians are close, I know you own other ball clubs in terms of other sports teams. Are you going to be able to furnish what's needed to get them over the hump? Are you willing to do that?
There's going to be a shift.
Just going to be a turnkey operation for you like you've seen where the Guardians have been?
There's going to be a shift in conversation about this because forever it's been like, hey, if you don't have enough money to own the team, sell the team. All right, well, they are. They are selling the team. And now that the old man passed away, it kind of got things going, and I think now it's accelerated from what we had heard behind the scenes with Zach Meisel and the bit of reporting that they did around the Jose Ramirez extension, where those conversations were obviously being held, and now there's been a seat at the table. With that said, now the conversation shifts to, okay, they did sell the team. Now, why did you buy the team? If you just bought the team to capitalize on this amazing organization that, quite honestly, has been able to bail out, Paul Dolan.
Yeah.
That's what they've done. They've been able, and with the great managing of Tito, and now on to vote. It seems like we've been very fortunate. We've been very blessed that they've been the stewards of the organization. Okay, why did you buy the team at this stage if you're not going to do anything with it financially?
Well, this is why I've always kind of, I've reached a point at times with Paul Dolan where I've been very upset, but I've always kind of pulled back because I know that he's the owner that I can trust to not make what I would deem crazy moves. He's just never going to do that. He's never going to run away from something too quickly. He's never going to run towards something too quickly. And that's meant a lot of success. It hasn't been the ultimate success, but it's meant a lot of success for a ball club that could be put right in the category of the Pirates if they were allowing to. Mm-hmm. Where we have a guy like Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez has played his entire career here. He's a Hall of Famer. And you got a guy in Paul Skeens over there in Pittsburgh who might be gone by the end of this sentence, let alone halfway through this year. But I think it's more likely for me, or better for me, to push my energy and efforts towards what Evan Drellick wrote in the Athletic about a salary cap and a salary floor. And if $164 million is part of a salary floor, what would it take to attain such a thing? Would we be able to do that? Is that a realistic thing? Because that's where I think the next step needs to go. I need to have such a long-term thing because I've spent my entire life, really my entire life, arguing about whether or not the Indians, then the Guardians, had enough money and whether or not they would pony it up. When they were in the old stadium, when the Jacobs brothers bought them, and then when they were willing to do that, and then obviously who Steinbrenner took it to a completely different level. I've been arguing about Guardians money for my entire life. I'd like to stop that because we really don't spend a whole lot of time
but I
arguing about
wonder
the
if
Cavs
any
and
of that,
Browns money.
if any of that. So what you are saying?
So because of that, I'd rather
sense.
give Paul the pass this year and just move forward to the offseason and focusing my energy about that.
I think the average fan, they're not really into, hey, looking at what makes sense, what's the state of affairs in the sport. They don't want to hear about a lockout, a work stoppage, because they don't really think it's going to fix anything, nor do I. I don't think it's going to fix anything. I don't think there's going to be a salary cap. I don't think there's going to be a salary cap at all. And if you just do a salary floor, okay, we're going to spend more money. Okay, so is 29 other baseball teams. That just kind of puts us up. We're just going to overpay for the same guys that we would have signed cheaper. Like, that doesn't solve anything. That doesn't make the Guardians better. It instituting a salary floor in a vacuum. So that doesn't solve anything. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you, the average fan doesn't care about any of that conversation. They want to know why a team that just went to the playoffs last year is going to be bottom 3 in spending this year.
Well, if you have to be at a salary floor, which you're right. Like if you put the salary floor to $164 million, I'm just going by the Athletic article. If you just use the floor at $164 million and you stay at $164 million, you're going to go, why are you spending only to $164 million? So you're right. It's never going to be enough if you get to that, but it still evens the playing field. I'm just going, well,
I don't think it would. No, I don't think it would even the playing field.
You don't?
That's what I'm telling you. Think about the economics. If every team now has to get to 164, it's just going to inflate the overpriced veterans that you would be signing. That's not even the good money to sign anyway.
Wait a minute. If you were able to do such a thing where you kind of do it more like the NFL, where you have a salary cap, that means the Dodgers can't sign anybody, and you have nothing deferred, so you can't just move something to 2030. Who the Guardians have also taken advantage of such a deal, right? If you take those two caveats out, how does that not help?
No, I'm saying
level the playing field.
I totally understand what Anthony's saying.
What am I missing then?
Here, let's just do an example, right? Who was the guy that they got rid of mid-season that had been a great veteran for the team but just was taking playing time from the team last year? It was his third stint with the team. It was Carlos Santana, right? So now you've got to bring in a veteran like that instead of bringing up what are the Guardians really good at? Finding young talent, developing them rather quickly, getting them up to the major leagues, and making the playoffs with a team of AAA ball players, essentially, right? But it takes away from the time because now you have to spend the money on those veterans that are overpriced, and if you're going to spend that money, they're going to be the guys on the roster. They're going to be the guys playing the games. Chase DeLauter's never going to make it into that playoff rotation. You know, Kafis is not going to be up. Manzardo's not going to become an everyday DH.
That's fair point.
And it does create a sort of beaver dam to getting guys out to the field quicker for a team like the Guardians. That's not every team in Major League Baseball, but the Guardians have made that their model.
No, that's a good point. 216-474-0092. I have one thought on that as well. I want to know, are you willing to give Paul Dolan a pass this summer, considering that we're about to have a work stoppage at the end of this baseball season? 216-474-0092, and you will not believe who thinks he's the scapegoat for the Cavs' early struggles. Ken Carman, Toadmaster General, your chance to win Mr. Hero in 2-second trivia at 740 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Fanatic Sports.
content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Going to play some audio for you that's going to be pretty outstanding. That coming up here in just a moment. Yeah, I'm willing to give the Dolans a pass. Paul Dolan a pass for the summer. For the summer. You know, Stephen Vogt mentions the World Series. Oh, and you brought up a hell of a point. A lot of people brought up a hell of a point going, well, we're all excited about these young guys. If you go out there and you spend all these money on these other guys, how many of the young guys are going to get to play? Now, we could find out halfway through the year that the young guys suck. Which I thought that some of the stuff that was written last year was absolute. I mean, the stuff about Travis Bazzana is borderline irresponsible from some of the people. I mean, guys get called up. He didn't get called up. There's injuries there. I understand that. But, man, we're doing this stuff really, really quickly, and it's supposed to be the most patient sport that's out there that we pay attention to. I thought it was some of the stuff that was written about him was absolutely unfounded. So that's a hell of a point. You brought up when it comes to like a salary cap. In the salary floor. I'm going to get to the phones here in just a second. And whether or not people are willing to give him a pass for the summer. You brought the salary cap, salary floor. Can we provide a runway to the floor and a runway to the cap? If you are spending $700+ million on Juan Soto, I forget what the salary cap was. I'm guessing, say 300. I think it's going to be not too easy to get under 300 right like that in 2027. And I think it's not going to be very easy to go from nothing to 164 in 2027 as well. Is there a runway of like 5 years to get to that? Because you still have networks that are, or you still have franchises that are trying to get their network situation figured out there, and that's obviously a lot of money that comes to them, one way or the other.
Yeah, they got to do it both ways, and unfortunately, I just think there's just not going to be enough support for them to get the cap the way it needs to be. I mean, if you could just defer payments, then the cap's going to be irrelevant too. So I don't see them fixing it, and it's because of that I'm going to continue watching baseball the way I watch it, which is I will pay zero attention to it in the offseason. While, the NBA, the NBA and the NFL, I mean, offseason is huge. It's monumental. It dominates sports talk. It's what fans talk about. My buddies are huge Guardians fans, and during the season, I'm on text threads where every game gets talked about. In the offseason, zilch. It gets zero energy, and that's what it'll continue to get.
You're just going to get agitated. And the players that are big movers, like the Cody Bellinger stuff, it's like you have no interest in that. What you don't have a chance at him. Juan Soto last year. Like when I forget who brought it to our attention, like, you don't talk about Juan Soto. I go, why does a Guardians fan care about Juan Soto? They're never going to have a chance at Juan Soto.
Well, MLB doesn't do anything to benchmark the offseason things, right? Like, when is the free agency period in MLB? It's the day after the World Series is over. Whatever day that is, then it just starts, right? Like NFL and basketball, you both get, there are certain days that, hey, we're going to get crazy because that's the day that they get to talk to people. The draft happens in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
They draft people in the middle of the season, and we don't even know that it's going on.
And there's some things that they just can't help. A draft happening in the middle of the season, I can understand why they have that happen. Maybe you can move it, maybe you can't. I'm not sure. But you just hit it right there. I'm just going to end up getting upset if I pay that close of attention to offseason because you just don't have a chance at any of the names that people would recognize there. When it comes to the other two teams, for better for worse, I mean, this is a team that traded for Odell Beckham Jr., for crying out loud, with the Cleveland Browns that have made some wild moves. And again, for the worse. You just traded for James Harden. And we spent a little bit of time last week going, I can't believe James Harden plays for the Cavs. And think about the names that have played for the Cavs over the last decade plus. Some of them at the end of their line. And he's 36 years old. He's still very good. But you think of some of the guys who have worn Cavs jerseys, like, that's bonkers. You don't have that type of...
Well, and
that kind of thing happened to us in the 90s.
That's what I was going to say.
Juan
the
Gonzalez,
Indians, we got that.
Yeah. Eddie Murray.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like
but there were a lot
Eddie
of
Murphy, too. And Charlie.
Rest in peace. Nate and Burton, you're next up on the Fan. Hello, Nate.
Hey, guys. Hey, so you've pretty much been making my point. I just want to add a little bit of something to it. So if they would go spend a bunch of money on a free agent right now, obviously that'd be taking at-bats away from the younger guys. We'd be upset about not seeing Chase DeLauder, C.J. Kafis, maybe Bazana getting brought up, plenty of other young talent that we don't even know about as much. When the Guardians, Indians have proven already that before the trading deadline, if they think they have a shot at the World Series, they're going to spend the money. Look at Andrew Miller, Mike Napoli, the 2016 run. So I think they've just earned the respect from the fans, or they should have, to be a little bit patient and watch how things play out and trust that we're going to be contenders. And once you get in the playoffs, it's anybody's game.
Well, what makes them somewhat crazy to talk about is that, and Nate, thank you for the call. It's like they were pretty down last year at one point. Then they were able to take advantage of some things going their way. Like, they're never truly out of it. Like, there's been a lot of times, man, where the Browns were just about dead and buried, and you can just make sure that they're dead and buried. Cavs almost the same way. With the Guardians, it's never out of it. Now, I don't think that immediately buys respect because, again, you're a three-sport town. Two of the other sports have caps. Two of the other sports have owners that are willing to do what they deem necessary to try to go out there and try to find a winner, contrary to what a couple of callers said earlier today. But you have an owner who's done a good job running the franchise like you would a household. I mean, that's basically what it is. And sometimes you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And if what you need is to have the heat on and the roof over your head and all those other things, the Guardians will make sure of it. But that's real life. That's not your fantasy. But that's been talked about a million times. You aren't going to believe who thinks he's a scapegoat for the Cavs' early season struggles. Here's Lonzo Ball.
I don't feel like I'm playing as bad as people are saying.
Twitter is...
Yeah,
y'all out there.
I know I'm the scapegoat right now. But look, though, that comes with the name, though.
Okay.
And that comes with what they brought me in for.
Okay.
So, it's granted. I'm not going to say I'm playing great. But to me, I'm just missing shots for it.
Okay.
And people are like, oh, he's shooting 25%. Let's actually take the percentages and let's talk about what that is. That's 4 shots a game.
Okay.
And I'm making 1.
Okay.
But I promise you we're not winning and losing games off of 4 shots.
Okay.
You feel me? So,
okay.
That's that. Can I play better? Yes.
Okay.
Have I been playing terrible? I don't think I have. I've been shooting bad.
Okay.
How's that knee been feeling, though?
I'm solid. I've been moving good, I feel like.
Okay.
So you're talking about overall, like, in the sense of, like, not just the shooting part. You're talking about, you feel like you're not playing bad in the sense of, like, defending,
I think the game
rebounding.
Of basketball, like, I don't feel like I'm, like, the worst NBA. I don't think that.
That's from Ball and the Family podcast. Who has been yelling at him? Has he been opening up DMs with bettors or anything like that? Who's been ripping it? Like, I don't think that anybody... Has a Cavs fan felt that he was the catalyst to the early season struggles?
No, I mean, no. He was...
There's been little conversations here and there, but I don't think we've spent
he came off the bench in every game, I think, but 3.
Yeah, I don't think we've spent segments hammering Lonzo Ball.
He obviously was not Ty Jerome, and the thought was that even if he couldn't be as efficient as Ty Jerome, he was going to be able to add some defensive energy, wily veteran skills, and come playoff time, more size, which is something they clearly have desperately needed during their playoff failures over the years.
This conversation brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside, who ask you to please drink your hard iced tea responsibly because it's fabulous, and they want to make sure you do it responsibly. Yeah, I don't think that Lonzo Ball has been the scapegoat. If anybody's been a quote-unquote scapegoat, it has to be Darius Garland, right? But I don't know if there's an actual scapegoat. I think that there's reasons to why they've struggled.
Scapegoat by committee, because remember, there were so many games against inferior opponents where they weren't getting back on defense. They were getting killed off the dribble, and you're like, they're not this bad defensively. This makes absolutely no sense. So I don't think he was singled out. I think online, where maybe the Balls might live perpetually along with some other
Kevin Durant,
superstars in this league.
I read some of that stuff. I had to catch up to that. Boy, that was wild.
Yeah. Some of these guys... This is what they do when they're on the charters. They just sit there and stare at their phone a little bit too much. And I think someone like him is probably guilty of it because everything made sense when they talked about Lonzo Ball if he was healthy. And the thing was, he was healthy. And he was one of the worst players in the league that had gotten minutes.
Well, he says his knee's solid, but I didn't believe his knee was solid because he wasn't driving to the... I mean, there was no times where he would ever drive to the bucket. And there were so many times where it was just a spot shooter. Like, there was no movement. So the ball got stuck in a corner with him.
Yeah, he wasn't able to get by.
Movement.
I just meant health-wise. Like, the question was he even going to be able to get to this point in the season? It's like, oh, actually, Actually, he can, but you're right. There's no burst. He can't get by anybody. So what is he, 29 years old? Looks like he's going on 37 the way he's playing. And then he can't hit a shot. And his shot selection was abysmal. Now, I've watched him throughout his career. He's always been able to just knock down the easy three. Felt like he wasn't even taking the easy threes. He was only taking the terrible threes.
Yes.
They were all heat check threes, no matter what the score was, no matter how he was performing. So it's just been a total disaster. And I don't blame the Cavs for going after him. You know, they spent their money and they went over the salary cap. They went over the double apron to go sign Sam Merrill, but they had to make tough decisions. They say goodbye to Ty Jerome. And then, you know, that hasn't really bitten them because he's been injured. But they've missed him. And when Darius was going to miss games, now that elevated what the role was going to be for somebody like Lonzo Ball, and his body is not ready for it, and his game is just not what it was. And so he's been a massive disappointment.
Well, I would think, yes, he was a massive disappointment. I would just think, though, that if the scapegoat is a tough word to throw around, because you can use scapegoat all you want, but I could use reasons. And there were reasons, and I think I totally agree with you. They had to go out there. They had to find some They had to find some more shooting from the constraints that they had with what they have spent on their roster before. He was a player that there was a little bit of hope for, but everybody was kind of waiting for, I guess I'd say, another shoe to drop. But I don't think a lot of people had a lot of hope. Regardless, it was like, well, if he works out, that's great. But we didn't even know if he was going to be very healthy at the beginning of the year. And I'm glad he's healthy, but I have no ill will towards Lonzo Ball. I kind of feel bad, if anything, that he's reading a bunch of nasty messages from people where maybe that you have gamblers who are betting on his prop bets throughout the night and he's not hitting them, so they're mad at him. And I'm going, I don't think that Lonzo Ball was the main reason why we were struggling. We were struggling because it's exactly what you said. Guys I thought got lackadaisical. Guys were not, and they just weren't good enough, and I felt that they were knowing that they weren't good enough. And this move with James Harden has re-energized what they're trying to do, and certainly with Dennis Schroeder, because Dennis Schroeder's going to be able to go out there and defense and be a problem for somebody.
Well, between Schroeder and Ellis, those guys, part of it is making up for the Hunter mistakes. I don't know what went wrong with Hunter, but clearly a shell of himself, and the Cavs weren't willing to wait on that to see if it turned around and see if he could, at least shoot the ball well, which he did last year. To such a high value. I think at this stage, I'm content. I'm not worried. The great thing about this is, the Cavs have a chance now to pounce on the East. They have a chance to continue moving up the standings and get a 2 seed, or if everything went right, and maybe Detroit gets in a few more fistfights on the court and guys get suspended, that you can get the 1 seed.
Well, there's yes.
So, we're talking scapegoat or whatever. That might be something the Balls are talking about. Here, I don't hear any Cleveland fans at all bothered by the slow start to the season. Nobody cares now. Now it's about ratcheting up and get ready for the postseason run.
That's true. I don't think anybody really cares about how things went before. I mean, you went from people complaining about maybe Kenny Atkinson getting fired at the beginning of this year. That completely went away after the James Harden trade. Now, if they would have went out there and went 0-3.
It went away before the Harden trade.
I know,
the last 10 to 15 games before.
Well, you're right. They were doing well even before the James Harden trade. Now, if they would have went 0-3 with James Harden, and some people were right in their criticism of James Harden, maybe it would have been true. But all that stuff about Kenny Atkinson has died away. Evan Mobley hasn't been on the floor, so I haven't really been able to rip him on anything like that. And I don't know what his role is going to be exactly when he comes back with James Harden. It's just going to be interesting to see how they use him with James Harden, or maybe it's just a bigger version of Darius Garland with Evan Mobley, and they don't have to worry about that anymore. I think Donovan Mitchell has been spirited by it. I think all these guys have been doing it. I just didn't find Lonzo Ball to be a problem with what the Cavs were doing before. I think altogether they are having a problem with what they were doing before. All right, 216-474-0092. I throw out the number Y because there's a chance to win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals. That's right. You can win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals from where? Mr. Hero, of course. They have so many delectables there, so many to choose from, and you can get a 4-pack of combo meals from the wonderful people at Mr. Hero. How do you do it? Well, you got to win 2-second trivia. You answer 2 questions within 2 seconds each, and you're eating fabulous Mr. Hero. It's that simple. All you have to do is call 216-474-0092. That's 216-474-0092. 8 o'clock, we go around the Eastern Conference. We'll talk to Mike Stowe, the ticket in Detroit. We'll talk to Brian Barrett from the Ringer in Boston. But before that, 7:45, your chance to eat Mr. Hero. 216-474-0092. 2-second trivia coming up in just a few minutes on The Fan.
Owned and operated for over 50 years with a 4.9-star Google review rating. Whether it's for home or business, call today to get a free estimate for your plumbing and electrical needs or visit TriCountyElectricService.com.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. You have 2 seconds and only 2 seconds to win. This is 2-second trivia.
It is time for 2-second trivia. And it's your chance to win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals. Folks, when it's cold outside, stay put and let Mr. Hero deliver your next meal with DoorDash. Or order online for pickup and we'll have it ready for you when you walk through the door. Well, not we. No, I won't have it ready for you, but the fine folks at Mr. Hero will. Order online through the app or at MrHero.com. It is time for 2-second trivia. And we start with Jack in Westlake, home of the Demons. Jack, good morning.
How we doing?
Jack, we're doing wonderful. Are you ready for 2-second trivia? It sounds like you're not.
A little bit. Let's rock.
All right, not off to a good start. Hopefully Jack won't be the winner. Lima, take it away.
All right, here we go. There was a bevy of new coaching hires in the NFL. Who's the Dolphins' new head football coach?
John Ford.
Did you say John Voight?
I thought he said Voight. And it's incorrect.
Driving around in John Voight's car. Keith in Akron, home of the Bookville Griffins. Keith, good morning.
Good morning.
Lima, take it away.
All right, we just had the NBA All-Star Game. The MVP of that game gets a trophy named after which NBA icon?
Jerry West.
Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife, couldn't keep her in Brunswick. Home of the Blue Devils. Peter, good morning.
Let's go, Lima. Take it away.
That's my line. Lima, take it away.
Who is the new #1 team in both men's college basketball polls?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
She did not get enough votes.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You just got it?
It was gumbled or garbled there.
That's why I let it live.
I don't know where she is in Kempom, but it's not good.
Chuck in Cleveland, home of the Rhodes Rams, the new Senate League boys basketball champions.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Chuck, Bo Buck, Banana can't finish the rest. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Lima, take it away.
How many NHL teams are there?
30.
Whoopsie-daisy.
That one's been sitting there.
Woo! We'll have to check with you after the 2-second trivia there. Derek in Maryland. Derek, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
Derek, I wish I could name a school. I can't. Derek, are you ready?
Take it away, Lima.
Just taking my lines. I got no use here now. Go ahead.
Who was the Browns' leading receiver in the year 2025?
Harold Fannin.
Yes, folks. What does that mean, Kenny?
Ladies and gentlemen, Derek in Maryland is in the barn. I don't know how he's going to eat Mr. Hero out there in Maryland, but we're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen, for the win. Lima.
All right, here we go. Which president did Owen meet when he was in the Air Force?
George Bush.
Need to be more specific.
George W. Bush.
He got it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
he got it.
Derek in Maryland is the winner of 2-second trivia. Derek,
Owen's disgusted.
Derek,
I'm disgusted with you.
Derek, how are you going to
Yes,
eat
sir.
How are you going to eat the Mr. Hero?
My grandma is in Akron, so she is a big Mr. Hero fan. And Owen, also, thank you for your service from a fellow Air Force vet as well.
Derek, I'd love to have more conversation with you about that, but it's Derek's win, not Derek's grandma's win.
Well, you can win it for Grandma. He can't eat them all himself.
Derek, as a veteran,
She's the real
veteran
MVP.
to veteran.
She's the real MVP.
There you go.
Forget your grandma. Send them Mr.
Listen,
Heroes
hold
my
on.
way.
If Derek's somebody who wants to be a hard-working American citizen and sending his prizes and Award's home, he can do that.
He can do that. Derek, I'm going to put you on hold. Thank you very much. Congratulations. I want to see a video of a elderly woman hammering Roman burgers. I don't know how old she is. I mean, grandma could be 46 for all we know. That's not very old. That's not very old at all. I got to be careful I say this. I knew a guy who was with somebody who there were 5 generations still living. Like great Meemaw was only like 74 when they first met. They did it early in that family. So that's what you get. Congratulations to Derek in Maryland. When it's cold outside, stay put and let Mr. Hero deliver your next meal with DoorDash or order online for pickup, and we'll have it ready, or they'll have it ready for you right when you walk through the door. Order online through the app or at MrHero.com.
Kenny?
Yes.
I did something during the break that I never thought I would do. I looked up on the secondary.
You doing charts again?
I looked up on the secondary ticket sites.
Okay.
To see Miami of Ohio ticket prices for their basketball program.
What's the prices?
To get in for a Bowling Green game coming up, the get-in price is over $80.
Really?
And I'm seeing a bunch in the hundreds and all the way up to 200. They're undefeated. They won again last night. They're the talk of college basketball.
Well, this is my issue.
And they still might not make the NCAA tournament.
That's why they're the talk of college basketball, because they still might not make the NCAA tournament. That's my issue. Like that, I feel could some people took it as like Northern Illinois. If you know the history of MAC sports, and why wouldn't you? Northern Illinois has actually jumped out of the MAC before. A long time ago, but still they've jumped out of the MAC before. If they are a team that goes undefeated in the regular season and they lose in the MAC tournament and they don't make the postseason, what are we doing here? Like, we get an automatic bid in the MAC still, right?
Yeah.
So they have to go undefeated wire to wire the entire way.
Well, that's the debate. Could they be a team that goes undefeated and slips and stay in, say, the MAC championship game in Cleveland against the Akron Zips? You want to talk about a hot ticket?
Well, you remember,
holy cow!
Because isn't that what happened when they had Wally Zerbiak and like Trevor Huffman and Kent State? Didn't they beat him and then both got into the tournament?
Did they? That was the year they both got in.
That went down because both teams
I feel
were
like
good.
Wally was ahead of that.
If they go like 31-1 or 32-1, they get 5 more regular season games, right? They're 26-0, so they go like 31-1. 32-1. Say they lose, and they get a bye. So I'm not sure how it works. Say they go 32-1. You're telling me you're going to leave a 32-1 team out of the NCAA tournament? Then what are we doing here? Then what's the point?
Right. Everybody would just want to see them by virtue of the fact that they've been talked about as much as they have been.
I'm not trying to be an alarmist here. Like I'm an Akron guy, but we know where the football programs are throughout most of the MAC. Okay, struggling, and I've said, well, maybe a move to FCS football might be a good move for a lot of programs, including my own favorite program. Maybe a move to the FCS would be a good thing for them, and moving down to the Gateway or whatever the hell it is over that Youngstown State plays in. But if you're not able to get a team in the tournament that's 32-1 or something like that, then what are we doing here? Then what's the point of even having it? Because to me, it's supposed to be a basketball conference. Mm-hmm. You're not going to do much in football. There's a couple Toledo fans would disagree.
You were right, by the way. 2 teams in 1999, and it was the Wally Zerbiak team.
And you're supposed to be the basketball guy here. So if you can't do that, then what the hell are we doing? What's the point of having a conference? I'm dead serious. I know that Dr. Steinbrecker's a friend of the station. I get that. We have our buddy Jeremy who works for them. I love the MAC. I don't want the MAC to go anywhere. But I think that a lot of university presidents will be sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute, a one-loss team can't even make the tournament? What's the point?
Yeah, it's crazy to think. Now, part of it is, if you hear the Doug Gottliebs of the world and their explanations, they will bring up the schedule. And, Miami did schedule Wright State. They thought Wright State would be a better team than they probably were, but they don't really have the out-of-conference teams. Normally, the MAC teams, I've seen it my whole life, like Ohio University's gone into Chapel Hill, right? They've gone and played, major conference teams. Miami didn't do that this year. Their out-of-conference leaves a lot to be desired, and because of that, is there a chance they might not be given the benefit of the doubt?
Would you rather have Kevin and Jim or Todd and Mike?
Who are these people?
I will tell you at 8:22 on the Fan. Coming up next, we go around the Eastern Conference. Mike Stone, 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit. Brian Barrett, The Ringer in Boston. We go around the Eastern Conference in 5 minutes on the Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for QC Kinetics, where so many people here in Northeast Ohio and
place, you had this, that, or the other. I think they would, because it's been a failed experiment. But they don't have options. So why not? It's in their best interest to put this out there. Yeah, he looked great. And of course he's going to have a chance this year, because why would you say anything to the contrary?
Yeah, I'm expecting the next 7 months to be some conversation of I can't believe Deshaun Watson looks as good as he does.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Remember that every guest appears on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. We got a couple of great ones here as we go around the Eastern Conference. And our first guest, Mike Stone. 97-1 the ticket in Detroit as the Pistons currently have the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Mike, can they hold on to it for the rest of the year?
Yeah, yes, they can. By the way, thank you. I never thought I'd be called great before, but I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. How do they hold on to it?
They just keep playing the way they've been playing. They've been playing great basketball. Now, you're going to ask me how they're going to do in the playoffs. That's a different story. I was a little disappointed at what they didn't do at the deadline because they're not a really good shooting team, and I think Cade needs a Robin to his Batman. But in the regular season, even though Stewart's going to be missing 7 games and Durant 2, I still think they hang on for the number 1 seed.
40,
playoffs, different story.
Yeah, Mike, 40-13 is 40-13. This is incredible what JB and this team has been able to pull off. Do you guys feel a level of disrespect that you're not number 1 when it comes to, Vegas, the odds to get out of the East? When I hear all the basketball pundits or the podcasters, there's a big mystery on what to expect from Detroit in the playoffs. Do you think it's fair?
I think it's fair. They are getting tons of praise nationally from pundits. Everybody loves the way they play. The problem is, in the playoffs, everybody plays hard. And I'm not sure if they have enough firepower to come out of the East. And Trajan Langdon, at the trading deadline, said, everybody's all excited. They think we should go in, but we haven't even won a home playoff game yet because the 2 they won last year were at the Garden. Are they good enough to come out of the East? Yeah, I have my doubts because, like I said, everybody plays hard, including, you guys. We'll find out if Harden plays hard in the playoffs, but,
Hey.
Oh, that's a great snippet. That's a great snippet. That's how people feel.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I grew up in Philadelphia, so I still keep an eye on the Sixers, and, you see what happens to him historically. I thought it was a great pickup, but we'll see what happens. I mean, you guys, I don't know what happened to you up until this point, whether it was, internal stuff, but, going into the season, I thought the Cavaliers were the best team, despite, with Boston being injured, and, the Knicks I didn't completely believe in because they have a soft cat at center there. But, yeah, I think you guys are going to be great. I think the top 4 in the East are really good. The West gets all the credit, but I think the top 4 in the East are still pretty good, especially since you guys have one of the great basketball executives in my buddy Jason Tillman. So I hope he's listening.
Wow. There you go, Tone. Can I ask you this? What have you liked about J.B. Bickerstaff? What have you disliked about him?
I love the fact that he has created this culture here where the players love each other. They want to do things together. They play their asses off, which is very important, especially I'm not big on this whole, Detroit versus everybody, but when you look at the history of this franchise, when they've been the most successful, they've played like this. The Bad Boys, obviously, and the Going to Work Pistons when they won, the title in 2004, 6th straight Eastern Conference Finals. They fit the mentality. What I don't like, and he's gotten a little better at it. You guys know too. He bitches a lot to the officials, and I'm worried sometimes that a technical foul will hurt them in a big point of their game. And the other thing he doesn't do that I don't think is I think he uses his challenges too early. So he's gotten much better at those things this season. But he's not a favorite of the referees. But as far as everything else, they love playing for him. It's kind of, I hate doing the cliche, but it's like a Dan Campbell type of thing. Hopefully they won't be the 15-2 Lions, though.
Cade
in the first round.
Oh, yeah. Cade Cunningham was one of the guys that really set the tone for hard play for for, getting after it All-Star weekend? Do you feel like he should be getting more MVP buzz? He's averaging 25 a game, almost 10 assists. He's been an all-around player, and he's even, starting to get the shooting turned around.
I think especially with the new rules where you have to have 65 games to be qualified. I mean, I don't know how many more SGA is going to miss, but Jokic probably will miss, one more, and he's done. So he's got a really good chance. Is he the MVP? Probably not, but he definitely should be a first-team All-NBA player. He's been spectacular.
Mike Stone, 97.1, the ticket in Detroit, as he covers the number 1 seed, Detroit Pistons, the number 2 seed, the Boston Celtics. And to talk about them, Brian Barrett, the Ringer in Boston. Jason Tatum, is he coming back, Brian?
Yeah, especially considering the fact that now he's partnered up with one of the NBA partners at NBC and Peacock, and they're going to be documenting his return. I'd be completely shocked. I know a couple of weeks ago he had the comments about disrupting the team or whatever the case may be, but at this particular point in time, if Tatum doesn't come back, I would be absolutely floored based on just a couple of weeks ago he worked out in front of the media. He has press availability after some of these practices. I don't see somebody doing all that stuff if he doesn't plan to come back.
Yeah, Brian, the Celtics are an incredible story. While the Cavs were floundering early in the year, one of the biggest disappointment in hoops, the Celtics just kept winning games somehow with these lineups that obviously didn't have Porzingis, didn't have Holiday. They're a completely different team without Tatum than they were last year. With that said, now does the nucleus have to change a little bit too much from the successes they're having to try to incorporate Tatum in the game?
Yeah, it's interesting because if you look at Jaylen Brown obviously having his best statistical season, and I would just say his best season in general, and he's second in the NBA in usage rate. So when you bring back Jason Tatum, who it's been his team, it does create for an interesting dynamic. But the one thing that I would say to that is if you look at what they did at the trading deadline, essentially, and part of the reason they've been so good this year was Simons prior to getting dealt. And they basically had 2 of Simons, Pritchard, White, and Jaylen Brown on the court at all times. They take Simons out of the equation. They bring in Vucevic, who essentially is the type of player that Tatum's had a lot of success with in his career. You think about, now I'm not saying he's as good as this player, but Al Horford, the stretch type of big. It feels like that was a move made knowing that Tatum's coming back. And one of the other things I think you can do, you can dig into, depending on what the minutes are going to be for Tatum when he comes back, is you can go with super staggers with him and Jaylen Brown, where you have 2 of those 4 guys that I mentioned with Pritchard and White at the court on at all times. Because if you look at the numbers in totality, they've been great with both Tatum and Jaylen on the court together. They've, for their career, outscored teams by more than 7 points per 100 possessions. If it's just Tatum and no Jaylen, that number is closer to 8. So they've been really good with each other, but they've also been really good without each other.
What was your, Brian, what was your reply to the James Harden trade? What did you think?
I thought it was an awesome move for the Cavs. I mean, one of the things specifically in the Celtics matchup is they always had a guy that they could target when Darius Garland was actually healthy and playing, because one of the things the Celtics love to do is they like to get their big wings matched up on smaller guards, and they'll continue to pick that scab all game. And Harden, I know he's been criticized for his defense in the past, but at the very least, he's 6'5". He actually does better against bigger defenders than he does smaller, quicker offensive players than smaller, quicker guys. And the other component to that is he just plays. He plays every game, unlike Darius Garland. And one of the things I would say is I was watching one of the games, the Denver game. He already has pick-and-roll chemistry with Jared Allen. You get another rim roller when he comes back in Evan Mobley. He's still one of the best 5 passers in the NBA. And when I specifically look at the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell scares me because he scored the most points per game against the Celtics outside of Michael Jordan. So now you add a guy that can sort of help him with the ball handling duties. I think he takes some pressure off Mitchell there as well.
I got to tell you, Brian, this was not the reply I thought I was going to get, because it seems that everybody outside of Cleveland is just going, yeah, we're warning you now. This is going to suck for you guys. I hope you guys are ready. Like, Lima's taking a bunch of texts. I've taken a bunch of texts. Like, outside of Cleveland, it seems everybody's like, yeah, you guys are going to hate him.
Well, the interesting component to Harden is everybody knows about the postseason failures, and we can look back at just last year at the end of the series against the Nuggets, and you can look to the end of the series where the Celtics, they actually had the Celtics down 3-2. The Celtics came back. Jason Tatum was not shooting the ball well until the fourth quarter in Game 6, and then he had the Game 7 record for points. But prior to that, James Harden beat the Celtics in Game 1 without Joel Embiid. He won another game in that series. So if you can win series, and he doesn't have to be the guy that carries you in Game 6 and Game 7, I think you're in a good spot. I'm not underplaying how bad he's been in some of these closeout opportunities, but even people point to the Houston thing where they missed 1 million threes in that Game 7 against Golden State. People also forget the fact that, Chris Paul basically blew out his hamstring in that series, and they had the Warriors on the ropes before Chris Paul got hurt. It was all the blame went on Harden. It's Chris Paul's never been the durability player that you've wanted sort of ever since, once he got in his upper 20s. So I think it was more so about Chris Paul than Harden. I'm not telling you that he's probably going to have one game that's just an absolute stinker, but I think he's got enough around him in that situation.
Listen to ball knower Brian Barrett. This is nice. This is refreshing.
Good, solid ball knowledge.
Somebody who knows basketball, who actually remembers that, James Harden's had massive games in the playoffs.
I recuse myself. I'll let the ball knowers know. Go ahead.
Brian, this is a revelation. It's good to hear. So how do you feel about the fact that the Cavs, according to Vegas, still have the best odds of getting out of the Eastern Conference? Do you feel like that makes sense? Who are you scared of in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I would say this, too. The other thing that's underrated about Harden is he's a lefty. So most of these bigs that are rolling to the hoop are right-handed players. It just makes for easier passes for James Harden.
Ball knower.
Lots of ball knowledge. Lots of knowledge here.
But I'll say this, I did this on my podcast yesterday. I listed the teams in the East I'd be the most afraid of if we get a healthy Jason Tatum back, which I assume, as I said earlier, is going to be the case. I ranked Detroit third because of the fact that they're 15th at effective field goal percentage. They're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league. They don't take threes. Now, the Celtics have struggled against them. The Celtics are a low turnover team, and 3 of their 5 games that they've had the most turnovers is against Detroit. So I respect that. But even if I look at the matchup this year, one of the games Tobias Harris killed the Celtics because Derek White, who's a great defender, was giving up a bunch of weight and almost 4 inches. Well, if that gets to the playoffs, that's probably going to be either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. I just don't think they have enough offense after Cade Cunningham. Duran's a great player, but he's just essentially a role man. And then I put the Knicks number 2 on the list because we saw the Knicks beat the Celtics last year. It's one of the worst series Joe Mazzulla has had, and it's very interesting because Mazzulla's had an outstanding season, but he respects Mitchell Robinson probably more so than any other coach in the NBA, where he fouls him to get him off the court because Mazzulla values the possession game so much that he's scared of him as an offensive rebounder. He's probably the best guy in the game at doing that, and he likes to attack both Cat and Jalen Brunson in the half court. So if they can play fast, like Indiana did last year, I think they would beat the Knicks. It's just a question of if they'll do it. And then I had the Cavaliers as the team that the Celtics should be the most afraid of just because of the Mitchell factor and the fact that you have Harden there, where Harden at the very least is a good help bet. And the one thing I would say about them is, like, the question with the Cavaliers, and obviously you guys know this the past few years, how healthy are they going to be? I remember the series a couple of years ago. Mitchell goes down. Allen never plays in that series. But just from a pure matchup standpoint, I think they would give the Celtics, they would put the most pressure, I'll say it that way, on the Celtics defense.
Brian Barrett, The Ringer, Boston. Mike Stone, 97-1 the ticket in Detroit. Both halves of Around the Eastern Conference, both on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Coming up in 5 minutes, well, I want to break down what they said about James Harden. Each side said about James Harden. We are still getting nasty messages about James Harden from media members outside of Cleveland. And trading away, or I should say cutting Denzel Ward, boo. Bringing in Tyreek Hill,
boo.
Not so fast. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. It's coming up in 5 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima.
Cavs come out of the All-Star break 34-21. They've won 5 in a row the last 3 games with the addition of James Harden. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Well, that was a nice mixed bag. I was surprised hearing that from Brian Barrett of The Ringer, like kind of something refreshing about James Harden. Because ever since the Cavs culminated the trade with James Harden, or with the Clippers to bring in James Harden, we have had a conga line, guys, of media members, friends from all across the country who have been like, you guys just wait. You guys just wait. You wait. You're in a honeymoon period. We were in a honeymoon period. This thing's going to go to hell in a handbasket. And you guys are emotional. They usually look at me. You're really emotional. You're going to hate his guts. And I'm going, am I going to hate his guts? Because I'm thinking, I looked at a lot of things as if, like, there's been players in a sports hate sense I've been really mad at, and I thought were unprofessional, and I thought were a problem for fan bases. I look at this as a business relationship. I don't look at this as, I know that they brought out fake beards and things like that for the fans to welcome him in last week. I'd still look at this more as this is a business relationship. This is we can get to a place where you want to go. We can be open and honest about all this stuff. I thought that he was very honest in the post game last week, talking about loyalty and how it's kind of overrated. I was fine with that. And there are so many people. And so I got to kind of pass it to you and a couple others because I'm an excitable person, and I brought up about the Browns, thinking they're going to be better than what they're really going to be, getting excited right before the season, thinking things about the Cavs and Guardians and what they're not really. So, yeah, I'm definitely guilty at times, I hate to say it, of putting my head in the sand. But I'm sorry, I just can't see a scenario where at the end of this year or even at the end of next year, I'm cussing out James Harden about unprofessionalism or anything of that nature when I'm saying this entire time. I'm like, I'm not rushing out to buy his jersey. I'm not putting his number on my walls. Like, it's a business deal to me, Tone. I don't feel that way towards James Harden. I think that those feelings, I'm sorry that 76ers fans and Rockets fans and Nets fans all have had bad experiences, but I'm looking at this for what it is, not this great big grand plan of what they've thought it was going to be before.
Yeah, part of it is like you look at each individual situation, and the Sixers situation was bizarre because he was promised one thing, wasn't given it, and then he's like, all right, well, you lied to me, so now I'm going to exercise, a little bit of my freedom, my independence. Then you go over to, the Brooklyn situation when, his teammate Kyrie, no matter what you thought about the COVID situation and the vaccine, like once Kyrie took himself out of games, Harden's like, well, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to play with my teammates, and one of my teammates doesn't want to play. Not a commentary broader on, vaccines in the workplace. He's just like, I can't rely on this guy. So, and maybe you could have argued he should have known that ahead of time, that Kyrie's volatile. But in the end, yeah, he's like, I'm not going to play here. So he goes out and makes another move again. And, the Clippers fans, I'm not really seeing them go off on James Harden. Like, they more understand that Kawhi's health was the biggest issue, in those years with Houston. So I could go by individually and talk about that. Now, the other part of it is, does he just fall short in the last game of the year in the elimination games? And he has. More times than not, he has. The hope here is that he's not the same James Harden. I keep using the term evolved, that he's not going to need the usage. And already, it's only been 3 games. His usage is below what Darius Garland's usage has been the last 3 years. But meaning he's not monopolizing the ball. He is coming in on these staggered rotations with Donovan Mitchell, and he's already helping elevate players around him. We've all seen that. My God, Jared Allen. Did you hear Brian Barrett talk about left-hander throwing to a right-handed player, like the advantages of that? And that you might even see, finally, Jared Allen take his game to another level come playoffs. We don't even know. Evan Mobley, you want to talk about lobs? Wait till you see. Darius was really good at throwing the lobs to Evan Mobley. Wait till you see how Harden sets up Evan Mobley. It would not surprise me to see Evan's game go to another level.
But I also think about the backslide if things don't go our way. Mm-hmm. Say that James Harden does turn into a pumpkin in the postseason. All right, well, I think it's different than like the Lowry market-in trade because you can go, well, there's this dynamic wing that you wanted and you just gave up on him. And go, okay, that's on the Cavs, even though that Donovan Mitchell's a better player, but you could still put it on the Cavs going, your scouting wasn't enough to recognize that this guy was going to be great. Your system did not recognize that this guy was going to be very, very good. So you could try to do that. With this, what did I give up? I gave up Darius Garland. We weren't getting there with Darius Garland. We made a necessary move to try to get there to give us the best chance we could to get there with a better player. The better player is James Harden. So if somebody calls in, say they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, or say another host on the station makes this argument. Say we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, we lose to Boston, we lose to Detroit. Detroit would be a tough one to swallow because of JB, because they're behind us in development. That would be a really, really tough one to lose.
Brutal. It would be.
That would be tough. But if you lost to Boston or even, God forbid, New York, I would say to anybody, even if James Harden went out there and put up 9 points and had another bad night, what were we going to get with Darius Garland? It was a necessary move to make. Unless Darius Garland goes out there and is healthy and then plays in the Western Conference playoffs to an obscene level.
Well, a couple things here. It's already looking like he's less healthy than even we thought he was, which is a big reason why at least the basketball people are like, yeah, that's why the Cavs had to send another pick. Like, it was basically even a physical, like it was a lotto ticket. The lotto ticket the Clippers were willing to try to purchase, and they were going to be okay with his injury situation, what it was. And they're already saying now they're worried about the original toe injury. So, guys, this was not going to be a guy they were going to extend, not at the level that obviously Darius was going to want to. They had to do things time-sensitive wise because of Donovan Mitchell's next contract and trying to get him to stay here. You're already in a situation this year where it wasn't working and it didn't look like they were going to be able to make a deep run because I already had my doubts, and I think a lot of Cavs fans had their doubts. That's hence the malaise that I think there was in this town about the basketball team. So everybody has told you, yeah, Harden's a better player than Darius. So it's if you don't think Harden was the right player, fine. But if we all agree he was an improvement, like they elevated that position. Darius has never been, I hate to say this, and this is going to be hard for a lot of the people that I thought were a little delusional about Darius. I had him every year in the 10 to 14th best point guard area. And if you're paying your point guard, which is not even the main position anymore, it's all wings. This league's all about wings. If you're paying a point guard a max contract that's not even in the top 10, and by the way, I went and looked at a bunch of lists over the last 3 years. 2 of those seasons, he was all-stars. By the end of the year, all these sites did not have him as a top 10 point guard. So we overvalued him. We as fans, guess who didn't overvalue him? I think the Cavs. I think they knew they had to make a move.
I think you're right.
Kudos to them for finally pulling the trigger, and they've shown the willingness to do this in the past. I mean, they did it with Markkanen and Sexton.
I got to admit, it took a lot of patience to do so because a lot of people were willing to move off from him after the Boston series. A lot of people were willing to move off for him. So that did take a lot of patience to do so. Sorry, I didn't mean to run you over there. But I do give them credit because I thought that this was a necessary move. I thought they took it as far as they could without freaking out. They took it as far as they could. They recognized what it was. I think the pick, exactly what you said, we brought it up when that trade was happening, was where the pick is kind of an indicator maybe where Darius is. I think you're 100% right about that. The Cavs are usually in on big names. Another team that's always in on big names, always the Browns get brought up. And they got brought up again yesterday. Here's Charles Davis. You know him, you love him, you respect him on CBS Sports HQ.
But the reason I said Cleveland is they're an organization that's still trying to figure the whole thing out. And while you do that and your product hasn't exactly been great, Tyreek Hill can help you have your people feel like, hey, we've got something going here. Plus, if Shedeur Sanders is going to be your quarterback, the best part of his game is the deep ball. Being able to throw that with Tyreek Hill for that young guy, maybe that helps you out in a lot of ways, but definitely helps you when you're trying to sell a few tickets, keep some interest in your ball club.
Is that something you would sign on for?
No. I mean, if we were talking about Tyreek Hill from, even 3 years ago.
Well, if there was Tyreek Hill from even 3 years ago, you'd have a lot of competition for him. Now,
it probably wouldn't be available.
I was watching NFL Network yesterday. They were talking more about him needing another surgery. Whether or not he would be ready for week 1 seems like more of a long shot. And that I think that in a lot of cases, maybe if he were ready to go halfway through the year or towards the later part of the year, that might be a Chiefs move. We know that Chris Jones has kind of reached out and tried to bring back the relationship between the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill. But this is going to be something that I think is going to take a long time to happen. My immediate reaction was no. He is a guy that can create a problem, and I need less problems. I mean, he's already a guy that you remember in Miami who was talking about checking out. His teammates were wondering whether or not he was all in on it. He was basically saying he was playing his last downs for the Dolphins even before this last season. I mean, he can create problems for an organization, and I think he's a barometer on how the locker room is. And if the locker room ain't going well, he's going to tell everybody, and it's going to create more problems for you than you really want. But
not to mention his off-the-field stuff.
Well, there's that.
You can't gloss over the fact that you don't even know if he's going to be available from year to year.
Well, that's one of the major reasons. Nick Wilson said this yesterday afternoon about the possibilities of Tyreek Hill.
I could not have less interest in Tyreek Hill joining this Browns team, and that includes if you today could say, Nick, I can lock in a 1,600-yard season next year. I still am, like the blackjack dealer, washing my hands and putting them up.
Wait. For a 1,600-yard season, I could promise you a 1,600-yard season. You're saying no, thank you.
Absolutely.
You just think he's that cancerous to the locker room? Is that the idea?
I cannot find a redeeming quality for him. This is Antonio Brown at the end of his career.
I have a really hard time finding a redeeming quality with him too. But I tend to. If you tell me 1,600 yards is on the table, we got a lot worse players with all sorts of bad redeeming qualities that exist in the NFL. Like 1,600 yards, I can look different ways.
So I will say some of this is from the Brown side, where I think this is a play through the thread kind of year. And if you have a good offseason, that might take you to being better than people expect.
Mm-hmm.
I also am not taking this risk on a first-time head coach with this young of a team.
Here's where I think about it. I just think that we're not in the conversation because too many teams like the Chiefs are going to be.
1,600 yards is a totally different animal.
Well, that's the redeeming quality. I mean, if he had $1,600, Nick can't find a redeeming quality. Jonathan gave him one, and he's like, no redeeming quality. Well, 1,600 yards, you're arguably the best receiver in football.
He said it himself. He gave it the redeeming quality. Nick said it. Like, even if he had 1,600 yards, I go, whoa, hold on, 1,600. I mean, I'd be willing to take Tyreek for 1,000. Now, I guess we could start to do fits and starts over. What about 995 yards? I mean, we don't need to split hairs here. But if I could go as low as 1,000 yards on Tyreek Hill, you give me 1,000 yards this year? Why wouldn't I be interested in that?
Does that guarantee your team an offensive success?
It sure as hell helps now, doesn't it? Now, I can't guarantee it because I don't know how Jerry
Devil's
Judy's going to be.
Here for you. They've had a 1,600-yard receiver.
They won 4 games.
And they won 4 games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They did.
And now
He's the first name I thought of, Josh was.
I mean, it's the easiest one to point to, and it's really easy because we're in Cleveland, but that's the name you can point to around the NFL to go, look at what that guy did, who was in it. He was 22? When that happened?
But you know what I know from that season? Brandon Weeden won the guy. We're having arguments all day long about who at quarterback can you still salvage? Do you need to bring in Malik Willis? Do you need to give Deshaun Watson another chance? Are we being unfair to Shedeur? There's not really any conversation around Dylan Gabriel. But those 3 guys, there's conversation around. All right, well, Malik Willis would be a different animal because you're bringing him in and you're probably going to start him if you are bringing him in, right? So he's selected to be your starting quarterback. If you were still terrible with this defense and 1,000 yards with Tyreek Hill, I don't know what Jerry Jeudy's going to get, but put Jerry Jeudy on what he got last year. What did he get last year? 400, 500 yards?
It's one of the worst seasons ever for a number one that actually played in all the games.
Lima.
It really was. You have to look back.
We went from 1,000 yards of Jerry Jeudy to when Lima goes to answer a question about him. Andrew's still here, by the way. Still here. I'd take Tyreek Hill for 1,000 yards if you can guarantee it. There's no obviously this is the stipulation here. You can't guarantee me 1,000 yards out of Tyreek Hill, but 1,600. Nick said it. I don't know if Nick meant to say all that and then continue to go with it. 1,600 yards. That's a hell of a lot of yards. He's going to be 32 in a couple of weeks. Tyreek Hill is. I'll take 1,000 yards.
There's only 2 guys that had 1,600 yards this year in the NFL.
Do you think he could approach 1,000 yards this year?
1,000? Yeah.
Tyreek?
1,000.
Do you realistically think he could approach 1,000 yards?
Yeah,
because I don't.
If he actually played in enough games, I mean, most guys that get enough targets can get 1,000 yards.
I'd much rather go younger, and I don't think that he's a realistic thing for me.
There were 19 receivers that had 1,000 yards this year.
And can Fannin continue his ascension?
Are people going to buy tickets to see Tyreek Hill with the Browns?
I don't think there's anybody that go, we got Tyreek Hill, I'm back in.
Well, that's because that's one of the reasons that Charles
I think
Davis
there'd be
said.
some level of excitement. He's such a big name that people love big names. They do.
They'd go and buy tickets to go see Tyreek Hill?
Buy tickets, I don't know, because even the Shador people didn't buy tickets. So if you weren't willing to buy tickets for your quarterback, then are you willing to buy tickets? But there'd be people that would be excited.
I agree with you. There will be excitement. I don't know if you're putting butts in seats.
I'd buy tickets to see Miles, Denzel, Schlesinger, Grant. I think is a wonderful player, really wonderful player.
Swagger.
But I buy tickets for those guys. I'm not buying Shador. I'd buy tickets to see Shador. Why not?
No, but hold on. You said Schlesinger. Guys do get excited about wide receivers way before they get excited.
Okay, that's fair.
About Carson Schlesinger.
Okay, that's
like
that's
when they
fine.
traded for Jerry Jeudy, people were like, "Whoa, that's a potential star wide receiver." People were excited about Jerry Jeudy.
I don't know, man. I think I talk to a lot more Browns fans than Charles Davis does. No offense to Charles Davis whatsoever. I love Charles Davis, but
here's the offense.
I don't think I didn't mean to do it, but I just don't think that Tyreek Hill's like, oh my God, I gotta get over to the stadium.
Well, wouldn't you say Hill still is one of the most popular guys in the NFL?
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
And that's despite all the nonsense. That's what's crazy about him.
Would he be must see? I can think of five guys who are must see over Tyreek Hill with the Cleveland Browns.
If he's healthy, he's must see.
If we can see
he's
him
not
come
healthy.
out and run and be the guy that throws up the peace sign when he's running away from people, then
yeah,
hell
like
he's
if he was in training camp,
you can't guarantee me that's going to happen though.
But if in training camp, you're getting everybody that covers the team and the national guys come in and they're like, oh my God, he's back at his 4.3 speed and he's amazing. Okay, that's different.
That does change a ticket then.
All right. 216-474-0092. Also, cutting Denzel? Absolutely not. Didn't say anything about trading him, though. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan. Window Nation.
92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
I'd buy tickets to see Miles, Denzel, Schlesinger, Grant. I think is a wonderful player. Really wonderful player. Killing me for? What are you killing
We were having a conversation about Tyreek Hill and whether or not he would sell tickets because Charles Davis came on the show yesterday on the station.
No. He was on CBS Sports HQ.
on a different show.
Yeah, he was on a totally different show.
And he said, maybe it was Charles Davis finishing a thought he had 2 years ago during our show. You never know. Sometimes we're pressed for time and he doesn't get it all in. We get maybe 2 questions. Anyway, so
I think he's a wonderful player. Really wonderful player.
He mentioned Tyreek Hill, and hey, at least in a let's face it, he was talking about a rebuild year for the Browns.
Yeah.
Maybe he could sell some tickets too.
Yeah.
And we were sitting here debating, does Tyreek Hill sell tickets? And I'm like, well, if he's healthy in camp, which doesn't look like he's going to be. And then we started naming players that Ken thought you actually would buy tickets for. And he mentioned Grant Delpit. So, great time to introduce our brand new producer to the show.
I hate you guys so much.
It's John
Colavita.
Colavita.
Yes.
Like Rocky Colavito, except with an A at the end instead of an O.
Now, John is not from here.
No.
He is from
Philly.
the East Coast. He's from Philly.
Yeah.
And you're a big football fan.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, he is a huge hoops fan, and over time, you will get his thoughts on James Harden.
Yeah, he's got some opinions.
Do you even know who Grant Delpit is?
The name does sound familiar. I feel like I've ripped across some Wikipedia
I'm asking
pages.
Browns fans to spend their money on the tickets.
Let me help you out in what we think about him.
I think he's a wonderful player. Really wonderful player.
It's Grant Delpit.
That would be Grant
wonderful
Delpit.
player. Really wonderful player.
All right, be honest. Before you came here, and obviously we make guys bone up for the interviews and everything.
On, man.
Before, over the last few weeks, you could be honest now, before you knew you were getting this job, who did you know on the Cleveland Browns?
I mean, Shedeur Sanders. I know the young guys like Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, those guys. Keep ripping off?
No, I'd say get closer to the mic.
Get closer to the microphone.
Even better than that.
Ward, Joel Bitonio.
Slow it down.
You knew Joel Bitonio?
Give me your top 3 Browns on the roster right now, John.
On
Let's
the
go.
Browns, top 3 best players?
On the roster right now for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Power rank 'em.
Myles Garrett is number 1, obviously. That's without saying. I got to go Denzel Ward 2 and Carson Schlesinger 3.
Where's Grant Delpit?
Did you throw in a Schlesinger or it's Schlesinger?
Schlesinger?
Schlesinger,
I think he's a wonderful player. Really wonderful player. See,
Okay.
you guys, so I had this buddy.
Not Quinshon Judkins? You can't get shout out to the it was a national champion, Ohio State?
He should be an Ole Miss Rebel, and everybody else knows that.
When you guys play that stuff, it reminds me, there's this kid I grew up with. His name was Cody, and Cody couldn't get anything going. Cody was a loser. Let's call it what it is. And he would get like menial jobs.
He wasn't a wonderful player.
And his grandma would go, "Oh, Cody, good for you. Good for you, Cody." I remember I was standing there one day, "Cody, good job. Good for you, Cody."
Like very patronizing.
And well, she was trying to be supportive, but it came off as patronizing. And so when you play me saying that about Grant Delpit, it reminds me of good for you, Cody. Good for you. That I hate that.
Like
I
your
love
team,
Grant Delpit.
your team is the Eagles, I imagine.
Yeah,
and so that's unfair because obviously they're a Super Bowl team that has Super Bowl expectations every year. But who are the guys in Philly that fans are like, I would pay to buy a ticket to see that dude?
Saquon. It's not even a discussion. It's Saquon Barkley and it's Jalen Carter.
Yeah,
and honestly, I think Cooper DeJean might be bigger than all of them.
I was gonna say, you telling me. There ain't no one spending tickets to see those white DBs. There ain't no way in hell ain't nobody's not spending money.
They got to re-sign, re-blanket
exactly. It doesn't matter. I don't care about that. I care about spending money to go see a player.
You didn't say
that's
the quarterback.
my point.
I mean, I think that goes without saying, but I don't think Jalen Hurts is Josh Allen.
It's a radio show. You got to say it.
When we're asking you to say it, it doesn't go without saying.
But I mean, he was great in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's. I think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
We have quarterbacks. Are people going to see those quarterbacks?
Are you paying for him? Is
You're
he
not
top
going
3? Is he top 3 of Eagles that you're paying to go see?
No, because the Eagles have an unbelievably talented roster.
Well, and your offense was pretty laborious to get through to watch this year. They were a rough,
I blame
rough
the
watch.
coordinator. We'll see what happens next year. I blame the coordinators. But I don't know. Jalen Hurts, you're not really going to see Jalen Hurts. You know what he's going to do. He's not going to excite you. He's going to get the job done, and he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in both Super Bowls he was in.
It's funny. If you were to ask the average Browns fan, who is a better quarterback, Baker Mayfield or Jalen Hurts?
It's a toss-up.
And who would you rather pay to watch?
Baker Mayfield.
Obviously, we're a little divided in this town, too, because of the exit of Baker Mayfield. But
I don't know. I'm kind of split. I like Jalen Hurts.
I think Baker is more exciting, and Baker's going to give you more deep balls, but Jalen's deep ball is way prettier, and he has better receivers. We'll see what happens with A.J. Brown next year.
So let's get back to the crux. You wouldn't pay to go see Grant Delpit?
No.
He just learned who he was
He's not a football
5
guy.
minutes ago.
He's not a football guy.
But that might be true.
He might be a football guy in Philly. He ain't no Cleveland football guy, I tell you right now.
But that's a bigger question.
I hope your boxes aren't unpacked already.
Who are the
I'll tell you
people?
right now.
Who are the people that are buying Browns tickets? Do you think they
Cleveland
are the
football fans.
Do you
They're
think
not
no,
Eagles
but
fans.
no, but that's different. Do you
Unless
think
they
they
come
are Browns football guys or are they
Yes.
casuals? Because NFL has been a casual sport.
No, okay, they've won 8 games in 2
Well,
years.
what do we
These
say?
are Browns football
What
guys
does that
buying tickets.
Well, hold on. What does the stadium look like when it gets cold? The first ones to leave are the casuals.
Yeah.
Like the casuals are the ones in September when you see, let's be honest, you see a lot more females in September when the sun's out than you do the rest of the way.
Well, we used to see a lot more, and then our tailgate got shut down by the mayor.
That is true.
Not that I hold a grudge or anything like that. Anywho, no, you're right.
We're just getting started.
How much were those chairs again over there? Never mind.
We had 2 Cokes, and we struck a deal.
To bring my
our
tailgate back. Sorry, I have possession of it. I feel that way. Very possessive of it. You tell me if a Cleveland football fan ain't buying a ticket to go see Grant Delpit, then you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. This is football. This is a football town. It's a football. The people love football here. They're buying a ticket to go
Now,
see
hold
Grant
on.
Delpit.
If it's a Week 10 football game, Miles is kind of limping with a hammy, and you find out he's been ruled out that week. You go through the list and all right, they're putting Grant Delpit on the program.
There's an easy way to settle this, guys.
What?
216-474-0092. Are you paying to see Grant Delpit?
Football guys, come on. Football
Call in
guys.
right now. Are you paying to see Grant
football guys.
If you
now
don't
John
call in,
has to
you're
go
not
and
paying.
answer the phones. John, well done. Thank you
Thanks.
very much. Football guys, come on. You're not paying to go see Grant Delpit. If you're not paying to go see Grant Delpit, I have to question you as a football
What
guy.
about dancing?
I paid to go see Grant Delpit.
What about dancing choreography guys?
I think he's a wonderful player. Really wonderful player. That guy got shipped out of here.
I know.
Tyson Campbell,
He was-
another player you'd pay to go see. Hell, I didn't even think of him until now. I think he's a wonderful player. Another wonderful player.
Really wonderful player.
Another really wonderful player, Tyson Campbell. Folks, please. Cleveland, football guys, come on. Hashtag football guys, stand with me on this. Grant Delpit. Yes, you're going to pay to see Grant Delpit. I'll get to some of you guys. And cutting Denzel Ward? No. No one said anything about trade, though. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. And football guys, please back me up on Grant Delpit, please.
It's Anthony Lima.
Mercy Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
I'd buy tickets to see Miles, Denzel, Schlesinger, Grant. I think is a wonderful player. Really wonderful player.
More on that in just a moment because we have full lines to tell Ken whether or not people actually spend their hard-earned money in this economy.
Football guys unite!
On Grant Delpit. Meanwhile, 92.3 The Fan looking for a winner. Enter the code word CARS, C-A-R-S, at 923thefan.com. Before 10 a.m., your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Cleveland Auto Show, February 20th through March 1st at the IX Center. See the hottest new cars, trucks, and SUVs. Parking also free. As always, buy tickets at clevelandautoshow.com.
I think he's a wonderful player. Really wonderful player. So I ask, 216-474-0092. Football guys, I need you. Which social media reactions are brought to you by?
Shibe and Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
JJ says, Ken, if you got to practically beg, quote, real football guys to back you up, then you already know the answer to Grant Delpit's question. Fair point. I would say this, though. If you're a real football guy, and I'm going to get the phones here in just a second because we have almost a full bank of real football guys, whether or not they'd pay to see Grant Delpit. That's the issue. If you're buying tickets to see Grant, I said yes. Obviously, you played the clip. I'll answer this. I'm asking real football guys to call in. I could sit here and go, Shador, 216-474-0092. You can get any cavalcade of people to call in over certain names. All I have to do is say, Baker, 216-474-0092. You can get any cavalcade of folks to call in over that. LeBron. You can just say things. Grant, no, he's not one of those three names. But he's a damn good football player, and this is a damn good football city. And I think that there's some damn good football guys out there in this area who are willing to pay their hard-earned money to see a good football player like Grant Delpit. Really wonderful player. Strike it. Not just a really good football player, a wonderful player like Grant Delpit. Really wonderful player. Tools galore. Really wonderful player. 216-474-0092.
By the way, a no-time All-Pro and a no-time Pro Bowler.
Really wonderful player. Listen, I'm talking about football guys who actually know ball here. I'm not talking a wonderful player. I'm not talking about really wonderful player. I'm not talking about the people who write for websites who vote on this stuff. Hell, we just got done ripping earlier at the beginning of the show somebody who said that the Browns should cut Denzel Ward. Is that person a person who votes for All Pro? And you want to give me All Pro as an argument? I didn't say he was All Pro.
I would say hell no.
Shador
That's
Sanders.
another segment we can't have anymore.
Shador
the mayor
Sanders
took away our tailgate.
Yeah, we can't do it. Shador Sanders, 1 Pro Bowl, Grant Delpit 0.
Really wonderful player. I'm not going to rip that Shador Sanders made it to the Pro Bowl, but I think it's a travesty that Grant hasn't been. I think he's a wonderful player. Really wonderful player. Jim and Wyndham, right down the road from me. Hello, Jim.
Hey, guys. I think you're kind of right about it, Kenny, but I don't necessarily pay to go see any one player. I guess Miles would be the one guy on that team you would pay to go see. But you pay to go see that defense. And with Grant being a wonderful player on that defense, I guess you are paying to go see him.
Love it.
And when it comes to Shador, I go to church before I go see Shador play. And put money in the basket and pray that we get a good result.
No meat today.
It's Ash Wednesday, Jim. You can't say that thing today, man.
And for those celebrating Ramadan,
Thank you, Jim.
remember your fasting
Thank you.
responsibilities.
Thank you, Jim. Back me up most of the way. I'm still also the guy who wants to start week 1 with Shador Sanders. And I'm really wonderful player. Ass serious about that. Over Deshaun Watson? Yeah, any day. Brian in Euclid, hello.
How you doing, Ken?
We'll see how I'm doing after this call.
That's fair. Okay. Dollar Dog Night. Maybe. Got a cousin in town, got some free time available on the day of the game. We're heading down. I'd go down there for a bunch of reasons. I went down there and froze my tail off New Year's Day a couple years back to see a bunch of nobody.
There you go.
But Grant Delpit, I'm not going down there to see Grant Delpit. As caller before said, I'd go see the defense.
You're not going down there to see Grant Delpit. He's part of that defense. Then Brian, if you're not going down to see Grant Delpit, then I can't call you a football guy.
Wow.
I got a 2000s Browns ball signed by the whole roster. Who was on that team? Nobody. I'm a football guy.
My youngest has a bunch of Brown stuff. Doesn't mean he's a football guy.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Listen,
what?
You know and I know that Grant Delpit is not the reason that butts are in seats. Period. I have nothing against Grant Delpit.
I think there's, in all honesty, Brian, I think there's varying degrees. I think that if we're talking about bona fide star power, right? And Brian, thank you for the call because I want to get to some more people. If we're talking about bona fide star power, it's Miles. Then it's Denzel. Look at the look on your face. You're walking me into some sort of trap.
What else?
There's Miles. Then there's Denzel. And then you kind of take your pick. Harold Fannin Jr., fine, young, wonderful football player, leading receiver for your Cleveland Browns. You're going to go see Harold Fannin Jr. Okay? Quinshon Judkins, former Buckeye. Okay, going to go see him. Was able to avoid a terrible knee injury, just broken leg. Get that figured out. You're going to go see Quinshon Judkins. Like, I'm not saying it's a cavalcade. I'm done using that word. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say it's this cornucopia, a slew of great, tremendous big names like John gets to enjoy up there as a Philadelphia fan, our new producer. That's not what I'm pointing out. I mean, Grant Delpit's a quality football player, and I'm talking to quality football guys. And you're telling me you're seeing a guy who's a box safety come up and clean clocks in the run game, also able to get sacks, also able to play pretty good pass defense? That's not something that gets your bull running, please. If you can't get a little bit excited about that, then I got to question you as a football guy.
But boy, that's interesting too, because you mentioned Harold Fannin, and Harold Fannin, like, statistically, when it comes to like fantasy, he was a top 8 tight end by most of the metrics.
Yeah.
But just in terms of guys that catch the ball, he's not even in the top. He just didn't have enough yards. Like, you gotta be at another level, I think, to really garner that. I'm buying a ticket. I'm going to watch that guy, catch and run.
There you go.
And all that stuff. So I don't even know. Is Harold Fannin there already? Are people buying tickets to see Harold Fannin?
We'll find out this year because he was already a rookie last year. So were they buying tickets to go see Harold Fannin last year? Well, no, they're going to see the Browns. Maybe they're going in to see Grant Delpit. Jay in Cleveland. By the way, Jacob says you weren't joking. This is a mail-it-in week. Jacob, I'm working as hard as I can to get people on my side about Grant Delpit.
This is when you put the hours in.
Jacob, you check me out on YouTube. I've worked up a sweat here, friend.
Like on a Monday after a Browns game, that technically is really mail-it-in. We don't have to do anything.
Yes, I'm working my ass off right now. Jay in Cleveland, Grant Delpit. You going to see him? You buying tickets to go see him?
Man, I'm buying any ticket to see anybody on that defense. They are a cohesive unit. They did it all as a unit. If you really think about it, the way the offense performed this year, the defense was everybody was coming to see. Everybody was coming.
All right, but Jay, isn't that really a Myles Garrett vote? Like, if you took Myles Garrett away from that defense, what is the rest of the defense?
What you call it? Can you say that? If it wasn't for the rest of the defense, that Myles Garrett wouldn't have broke their single sack record of the year?
I feel like they would not be a top. I feel like they wouldn't have been a top half of the league defense without Myles.
No, Myles is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think we would have had a lot of games where he gave up 30, and we'd be like, "Oh, our defense stinks."
But once again, when they keyed to stop Myles Garrett from getting the record, when there's 10 on him.
Oh, they helped. I agree.
Everybody else stepped up.
I agree. They helped.
Delpit, he came in. Like you say, Delpit, he came. He sacked the quarterback. Wright sacked the quarterback.
Yep.
Malik, he sacked the quarterback.
Yep.
It wasn't just Miles. It was a cohesive thing. And like I say, what production did you really get out of the offense that made you one of those teams?
Jay, that's why I'm with you on that. Thank you very much for the call. All right, Jim in Strongsville. Jim, hello.
First and foremost, who voted and made you the mayor of real football fans? What about your arrogance? No, you're the mayor of like 10-year-old football fans. Let's put on our favorite jersey and root for our favorite player. Ooh, our favorite player's in town.
I didn't say anything about wearing a jersey. I didn't say anything about wearing a jersey.
I am a grown-ass man. I root for teams. I don't root for players. My days of root for Mike Junkin because he was the first-round pick are over.
You called me up on the radio to say you're a grown-ass man. You sure you're a grown-ass man? To prove you're a grown-ass man, call me up on the radio, Jim.
You're a 10-year-old child. You're a 10-year-old child.
Why am I a 10-year-old child?
You elect yourself the mayor of real football.
I didn't elect myself any mayor.
Nobody voted for you.
This is a monarchy.
Nobody voted for you.
This is a monarchy. This ain't no democracy. I'm going to point it out to you right now. Answer the question. Were you paying tickets? Were you paying money to go see Grant Delpit?
No, I paid money to go see the Browns, Ken.
I question you as a football guy.
I saw you at the Steeler game.
So then that's a yes. So then that's a yes. If you're paying money to go see Grant Delpit.
in Strongsville or Streetsboro. Go to another coaching clinic and learn something.
I have my notes right here. Thank you very much.
He's got to schedule his next one.
I'll hold them up to YouTube. These are my Glazier Clinic notes. Right here. Boom. Take that.
That could have been the final question of 2-second trivia, but nope.
I have mine from Bob Wiley. 80% of the game is communication. Don't chase the other 20%. Boom.
How many votes did Ken need? Because there's certain elections you don't really need that many votes.
True.
Like Cleveland mayor. You don't really need that many votes. Not that many people voting.
The state of our city is strong, and we're just getting started.
We keep this up, we're going to get audited. You better watch out.
What, are they going to kick us out of our Brook Park tailgate too?
Now that's the mayor we need to cozy up to here. I'm going to make that guy laugh at some point.
He's the most serious mayor in the world. I don't think you can do it.
I couldn't believe it. Like we're trying to crack jokes. Mayor Orcutt will not let. I've interviewed
down to business
a chief of staff, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I've interviewed and made that guy chuckle.
Congratulations on all your success.
And Ed Orcutt was as serious can get. I'm like, come on, man, give me a smile. Come on, you're getting the Browns. Can't smile. Come on. All right. I think my point is valid. Really wonderful player. Really wonderful player, and people go to see Grant Delpit. Good for Grant. Good for me. Good for Browns football. Coming up next, I finally get to it. Now, there was an article yesterday from the NFL's website about cutting Denzel Ward. Silly. Absolute silliness. Bolsheviks, if you will. It didn't say nothing about trading him. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Live on the Did I say Grant Delpit? Really wonderful player. Did I say Denzel Ward or Grant Delpit when I was talking about?
Were we talking about the wrong player the whole time?
No, we were talking about a wonderful player. Really wonderful. I got Grant Delpit on my mind. There was an article yesterday, penned from the NFL's website, about cutting Denzel Ward.
Teases the Grant Delpits.
He didn't say nothing about trading him. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for Northeast Ohio Fence and Deck. Since 1981.
States right now trailing Great Britain 6-0. They're in the fifth end. Listen to the Fan and Rewind, weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Article was written yesterday, and I mean, it's being panned, and it rightfully so. This is NFL.com, and this is from a man named Matt Okada, he's a fantasy football writer and et cetera and everything like that, and he's from around the NFL, and it says the Browns cornerback Denzel Ward among at Matt Okada's notable cut candidates. Obviously, that's a no. Obviously, that's a no-go. Non-starter. $30 million in dead cap going into this year. You'd rather him play for you. And they've made this decision. See, if they were to move on in any way, and I know you're kind of champing at the bit to get to something that's connected to this, but not necessarily this. I'll say this to you, is that you have this defense that you're a football team we don't know if they're coming or going. You have this defense that's one of the best defenses in all the NFL. I'm serious. This is championship Sunday football or defense that's playing for this football team right now. This is the AFC championship level defense that you've always wanted. And what sucks about this is that it feels that your offense is so far behind. By the time we get the offense fixed, your defense is going to get too old. It's a hell of a conundrum to have. And God, But I tell you what, you watch Seattle and you're like, well, are we that far away offensively? And then you watch Seattle and you watch them on the All-22 and you go, we are far away from where we need to be offensively. But, that's the way the NFL is kind of, it tricks you in a way, right? It doesn't say anything, unthinkable to cut Denzel Ward. Doesn't say anything about trading him. And I heard a little bit about it yesterday in the afternoon. They hadn't mentioned a first-round pick for Denzel. One, I don't know if you're getting a first-round pick for Denzel. Maybe back third. And if you get a first-round pick, the question is, would you trade Denzel for a first-round pick? I think a lot of people would, but I think that opens up floodgates for you. If you're trading away Denzel Ward, why are you not trading away Grant Delpit that people would go to pay to see? Why are you not trading away Myles Garrett? Because you obviously have no plan to win. Denzel is a win-now player. So if you trade away Denzel, if you were wanting to do that for a first-round pick for 2027, because it was discussed like, well, do you want to be in on the art sweepstakes or not if Shedeur doesn't work out or Denzel or Deshaun doesn't work out or whatever? Okay. I mean, Malik Willis, he has his own free will. He can go ahead and pick whoever hell he wants to play with. Who's to say he really wants to play with us other than money? Who's to say we're willing to pay that much money for him when you can go into next year's draft class? So if you were to trade Denzel Ward, okay, I could see where people would want to actually do that. Now, I would caution against it for the reasons I give you. Because if you trade away Denzel, I say, then you just open it up and let's go ahead and start moving everybody. Because if you're getting a first-round pick for Denzel, we've done this a million times. You're getting 3 for Myles. If you're getting 3 for Myles, I don't think you're getting any more first-round picks. Can you get a second or a third for Grant? Can you get, now you're starting to go down the line here. Carson Schwarzenegger's with us. He's fine. Other guys are with us. They're fine. But you can't just move one piece in that defense because that's what they're holding on to like grim death right now.
Well, it's the age-old question about like rebuilds in the NFL. How long do they take? And you consistently see teams like doing it faster and faster and faster. The problem is looking at the Browns' offensive situation and comparing them to some of the other teams. And that's why, you had people like me and others that would kind of parachute into the Browns situation a year ago and say, well, yeah, trade Myles Garrett. What sense does it have to not optimize or maximize the value for Myles Garrett when you need as many, first-round picks as humanly possible to turn this around to make up for the loss of first-round picks that you obviously didn't have with the Deshaun Watson move. And then they had an amazing draft last year, and they still were one of the worst teams in football, showing that just a draft class here or there is not going to be enough to change your lot in life in the NFL. It has to be over time. Like, if you look at Seattle's draft classes, you look at the Rams' draft classes, who didn't have first-round picks for like 9 years. I think they had 1. You look at these teams that are able to do it. Heck, the story of, I know they flopped big time in the Super Bowl, But the New England Patriots were considered one of the hellscapes of the NFL a year ago based on the Gerard Mayo experience and the lack of talent.
The drafts leading up to him as well.
Yeah,
yes.
the lack of talent.
Yes.
What was everybody look at? Well, they're in the Super Bowl the next year. So I get that Browns fans who would be like, why would you trade Myles Garrett when you see teams that can go to the Super Bowl in 1 year? But then I ask those same Browns fans, like, look at our situation right now. How do you change it that drastically in 1 year when, New England did have a quarterback that had some favorable things going for him, like Drake May did. He had a rough rookie year by some statistical measures, but it wasn't the worst rookie year in the NFL, which unfortunately your quarterback room, you had 3 guys that were all in the bottom when they were playing last year.
Me, I know.
So, yeah, that's not just a Shedeur thing. That's an everybody who played quarterback for the Browns last year was awful when they were with the Browns. So how far away are the Browns for truly contending? Unless you just want to get to the playoffs. And then if you want to get to the playoffs, then yeah, Myles Garrett can help you get to the playoffs. He can determine so much for you. But you said it at the start of this whole statement. Like the Browns being able to time up while the defense is good and also have a semi-competent offense.
Well,
how long is it going to take them to get there?
Like, because Miami, you're seeing it. They're pulling out stop signs. They're gonna move on from Chubb. They're gonna move on from obviously Tyreek Hill. They're trying to trade away Tua Tagovailoa, which they might attach a pick to get rid of him. Which would be counterintuitive to what they really want to do for the future. They might play Quinn Ewers. Who knows if they're really going to go after Malik Willis now, because maybe Malik Willis gives them a better chance to finish in that meet. Like, this is where I'm kind of getting at here, is that you have this defense. You're going to have to make a lot of moves offensively here in a short amount of time to do this, because what your goal is, again, I'm not picking up a lot of great vibes here. So this is where I'm kind of at right now. If we're doing these things and making these changes, this is going to be an uncomfortable thing to say, but I got to say it to everybody. What was the point of doing all this if we're just going to end up with 6 or 7 wins? Because, you and I have kind of talked about it a little bit. Nick has been very positive about where the Browns are headed this coming year. Why wouldn't he be? He was against Kevin Stefanski. You should be that way yourself. I've heard other people who have been pretty bullish about him in terms of being better.
Wait, hold on. That means that firing the coach fixes everything? Because I didn't believe that
That's
at
what
all.
I'm supposed to take away from a lot of you guys.
I wanted a new GM too, so you could retool this whole thing.
I'm sorry, Tone, I don't think. Then what's the point of making any of these moves? Because it was asked to us yesterday in a meeting. Well, if we're going to do all this, wouldn't you just rather have Kevin Stefanski and Jim Schwartz instead of Todd Monken and Mike Rutenberg?
Yeah, all the first timers. Because that's what they are.
That's what they are. And it already feels like, though, a lot of fans are behind the 8 ball. I can't control what people are saying. I got a bunch of people saying to me right now, it feels like it's one and done. I don't think you can help but be better next year. It's just how much better are you going to be?
I don't. By the way,
I need it to count.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
Well, that's true.
I mean, you're going to see when the Super Bowl odds are already out. They're towards the bottom. When the win totals come out, no matter what they do in the draft, their win totals are going to be towards the bottom. So the expectations are not for this team to really make the playoffs.
Then why did we make moves in the first place? What was the point of doing this?
Well, because you don't just stick with status quo if it's clearly not working. You don't sit there after 9 wins in 2 years and an empty stadium in the last 3 months of the year. This year felt like record time. This team was eliminated like 5 games into the year, it felt like.
Well, that's true.
So that doesn't happen in the NFL.
But
most teams have hope. This team, it was trending so poorly that I think you forced the owner's hand. He had to make a move at head coach.
Well, did he? Why did he have to? He kept the general manager, and a lot of people wanted that to move on. Like, that's where you would be thinking you're moving on towards real change. You would have a little bit more patience as well. But now I have this football team that, hey, I didn't think Kevin was wanting to stay around myself. So this goes without saying. So I thought that a split was coming. I didn't think Kevin wanted to be here. Actually, during this season, after this season, I didn't think that was going to happen. So I can't play that into it. But if you're giving me a choice here, I don't know, the same general manager's still here. We still have the same questions. You know what? I have to kind of walk back a little bit because I said, well, you can't help but be better. Yeah, you can, because I don't know what your offensive line situation is going to be. So if your offensive line situation is going to be putrid, you're going to have a couple of rookies in there, so that's still going to be a learning curve for them. So if you got a couple of rookies in there, this is going to be a little bit difficult, even with the strength of schedule, even with that. So what was the point of me making moves if a lot of people are lining up to say that this is a one-and-done type of deal with these guys?
Well, I don't think...
That's why I'm making this argument.
I don't think you just... You're saying if you were going to go back to the well when it came to head coaches and you thought you were going to take guys that were either inexperienced or their resumes weren't as impressive, and we got to be honest, the resumes of the guys they hired were not on the level of when they hired Jim Schwartz.
Exactly, but I told everybody that was going to happen.
We knew that too. But when it comes to a close, we said this about Baker Mayfield towards the end. It was not going to be a scenario where he could come back. Well, you and I both had said that at the time. When the page is turned, the page is turned. And yes, there is a level of, we're going to make a risky move here. In that case, it was Deshaun Watson. But nobody thought that Baker was a better quarterback at the time than Deshaun. So there at least that at least had some credence to it.
But that's part of why I still in this way, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, and I respect your opinions. I understand 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but this is part of why I still want to stick with Shedeur for Week 1 to see where he is. Obviously, if they go and they get Malik Willis, Malik Willis has shown some flashes of brilliance here. Let's call it what it is. If they go out and they get Malik Willis, well, that goes bye-bye. If it comes down to Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders, then I want to go there because they are telling everybody, and this is what a Shedeur fan's hope is for, is that they felt that Kevin Stefanski was the problem with what they have, and they're moving on from him. And a lot of fans who are just Shedeur-only fans who might be watching on YouTube right now or something, they would think that way. So you better hope it's that way because right now all I'm seeing is more of the same, just with different characters.
I fundamentally disagree with your sentiment that if you don't think you can get better, you have to run back for the third straight year a losing situation. I fundamentally disagree.
No, if you weren't going to make a change, say this is under the premise that Kevin would want to stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think he did want to stay. But
I don't want to make change for change's sake. And the more I think about it, the more I'm wondering if this is change for change's sake. Todd Monken, it seems like he's a pretty good football coach and they'll be organized. That was the same stuff that I was hoping for Kevin until it wasn't organized.
And it was. They were organized until the last 2 years.
Until the last couple of years. But now I have this new guy in Mike Rutenberg. I got nothing against Mike Rutenberg. But why do we have so much dramatic upheaval with this football team just to have basically the same type of results that what we've had? And you've only gone halfway. We haven't even talked about the general manager and how I can't really find a lot of people to line up behind him and say how great a job he's done because you had it even yesterday. You brought up the graphic that you saw with the 5 guys on our offensive line who are all free agents, and someone had a statistic that hasn't happened since 1976 or something like that. And a bunch of people wondering, how does Andrew Berry still have a job? Okay, well, then he's 1 year closer to being let go. Well, am I going to make sure that he's not going to act crazy and try to put guys on this football team that don't have a long-term future with this team just to go, 9-8? To go 10-7? 10-7 would be great. I'll sign up for 10-7, but I want there to be a future with it. So that's why I argue about the Shedeur thing. It can't just be change for change's sake. And it feels like that. And I go, what's the point of putting Todd Monken in a tough spot? What's the point of putting Mike Rutenberg in a tough spot? You could have done the same thing with Kevin Stefanski and Jim Schwartz.
But I think people would have said, we know how that story is going to turn out. We don't know how this is going to turn out.
Do we really not know? Do we really not know? You're the guy who keeps wondering about Shedeur Sanders with me, and I'm the pro-Shedeur guy here. You keep telling me, start Shedeur Sanders, see what happens. We really not know? Are we going to do it for the 6th year now with Deshaun Watson since the last time he was a good quarterback? Do we really not know? Jerry Jeudy's all of a sudden going to change for us. He's going to be a really good football player and a really good personality for us. Do we really not know? I'm being very patronizing here. I understand that, but I think we know.
Well, if that's the case, then you have to go get Malik Willis, a guy who we really don't know. We don't know.
Then I think that might be the absolute case that you want to make there. Because if we really don't know, I still have a situation where you cannot tell me that just removing Kevin was the end-all, be-all, and all of a sudden, yes, probably the offense needed to be freshened up, okay? The offense needed to be freshened up, and I think Todd Monken will do that. But I don't know who my offensive linemen are going to be. I mean, we're doing stories on whether or not that Joel Bitonio is going to be able to come back.
Well, if that's the case, sounds like you'd need a really, really mobile quarterback. And there's one that's available right now that is built like a running back.
I understand that, and that might be what you need. 216-474-0092. Let me get Will in Medina. Hello, Will.
Hey, good morning, guys. I think this is all laying into what the real problem could be, and that is we kept our GM. We got rid of the coach who brought the whole band to Atlanta, which makes you kind of curious about the moves earlier.
True.
Now, what if we do start out 2-7, the bye week and the trade deadline are around the same time, week 9? Do we trust Barry to make the trades if we have to move off talent like Garrett and Denzel Ward then for draft picks, knowing he'll probably be out of here at the end of the year? In a real pickle as far as that situation goes, don't you think?
Well, then what do you think? Do you want the owner to be stepping in, or do you want the owner to stay out of it? Because that's always a mixed bag every season. See, this is what I'm talking about with more of the same, Will.
Yeah, now and then you set yourself up for failure in the fact, okay, now you're searching for a GM come midseason. Are you ready to draft a quarterback in next year's draft? What are you doing with your roster? And that just resets us overall again.
Like, I just want a season, and Will, thank you very much for the call. I want a season to count for something. So if you're going to be bad, you'll be good at being bad. If you're going to be good, we'll actually be good and have a future with you. If you're not going to have a future, if all this is just going to be done to be 9-8 and then not even making the postseason, I'm going to have a real bad feeling for the future, and I think a lot of people are as well. I would hope to be better, and my first blush was to say that you can't help but be better with the change that you made, with the new people that you're going to have come in. But again, and with the strength of schedule. But then again, you're the one who wanted to change, who you warned me that it might not be better because of some of the change that you have to make, because I got 5 open spots right now, it seems, on my offensive line. Now, some of these are already filled. DeJuan Jones, but how long am I going to have him? He's been hurt the last 3 years. 216-474-0092. Did it feel like change for change's sake? Would you rather just still have Kevin and Jim if we were going to go through all this? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan.
Anthony Lima for Fanatic Sportsbook.
StraightTalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Don't trust anybody with your Cavs coverage unless they have sports in their name. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Well, if you missed a moment on the show, you can go ahead and use the rewind feature on the Odyssey app, which is free, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. Also reminding you, go to 923thefan.com, go to the free Odyssey app, go listen to the podcast, the emerging podcast scene. Had our buddy Dave Briggs on from the Toledo Blade. Briggsy, who talked to us succinctly about the changes going on in the Mid-American Conference with Sacramento State joining the Mid-American Conference. Midwestern powerhouse, Sacramento State, joining the Mid-American Conference. The far west part of the country.
Expansion.
Joining the Mid-American.
You know, if the Big Ten gets one of those ads every year, and it keeps growing and growing and growing, you know, where they have the map, and they have kind of that cartoon map, which is an awesome, awesome commercial every year. It's time. We got to tell Steinbrecher. It's time for a Mid-American Conference little tour of Sacramento.
Would they get sued, though?
Oh, I think they could have some fun.
Sued and stewed.
The Big Ten. Okay, stop. The Big Ten, I mean, they're pretty well known for that commercial. Pretty good commercial.
I think you got to spoof it. Have some fun with it.
What do you
Sacramento's kind of in the middle of California, so that'd make the middle America.
There you go.
Do you have like a thing where you just have like the map of Ohio, which basically has all the MAC schools, and then you do like a take on me, where you're running through a corridor
and going
all the way out to the west?
I was gonna say Indiana Jones music, maybe.
And now you got to go to UMass too. So.
Oh yeah, you got to go all the way out there.
And as you're going around, you say, "Oh, that's Kevin Johnson, the mayor of Sacramento at one time."
I have very strong opinions about all that. You can hear them all, 923thefan.com, on the free Odyssey app, the emerging podcast scene every Tuesday and Thursday. 216-474-0092. I don't mean to be such a downer at the end of the show. We've had a lot of fun today. The Grant Delpit thing was a blast. I think he's a wonderful player, really wonderful player. But man, like, I don't want to make change just for change's sake. Like, I expect you guys to think what bothers me is you don't really seem to think it's going to be a lot better. And that bothers me. Like, Nick seems to feel that this is going to be a lot better. Nick didn't want Kevin Stefanski here. Nick should feel that way. You got what you wanted. I thought it was time for a change because I didn't think that Kevin wanted to be here. But I also thought that, like, in all honesty, like, are you going to run it back for a third year? No. For a third year where this is really rough? No. There was a lot of things. It was just untenable. But we talked about this before the season. You're not the best job that's out there. In fact, you're probably one of the lower ones. Now, I made arguments for defensive coordinator, and then a lot of people disagreed with me. I think what you're getting here is a dose of reality of how people feel your situation is.
I was surprised, too. I thought they could get a defensive coordinator with a much stronger resume.
And what my issue is that I think you could have had a much better look for this next year. You would be probably in a position where you're not going to draft very high. You're hopefully, I hope they don't have to kick the can again on Deshaun Watson's contract. Just pay him the $46 million and get this thing over quickly. But maybe you'd be closer to that. It would look like a better opportunity with the young players that you were able to get last year. Hopefully you're able to draft more good players this year. But when you only changed out half of it, it's like, all right, you got rid of what some people thought was a big part of the problem. All right, so a big part of the problem. But you've already kept a guy who's going to be in charge of this draft where, like, you need to hit on every single pick to get this thing going in the right direction quickly. And it's almost unrealistic. Like, a really good draft is like 30% of your draft picks end up being really good starters in your draft. Like, that's a really good draft. The Browns had a really good draft last year. That's 1 out of 5. Do you expect it to be that good again this year? History says it's not on your side. And if you don't have a really good draft again this year, you're just another year behind. So, damn it, you better find a couple of real bona fide starters there. That's why, like, when Daniel Jeremiah had his mock draft, he had the 2 offensive linemen, one out of Georgia, one out of Utah, Spencer Fano. Like, I'm fine with that. You have a chance to have guys who, they're probably going to struggle a little bit because they're not Joe Thomas. Will Campbell had a pretty good season, but you saw in the postseason he was playing with an injury. There were struggles. Whoever they get's going to go through struggles, but they will more than likely, you hope, be a good, solid piece to where it is. You got a lot of other positions. They end up being feast or famine. Wide receiver's a feast or famine spot. And I like Andrew. I like Andrew as a guy, but, man, I just don't know if I trust him. That's tough to say. It's tough to admit. So, Tone, you're giving me the arguments, but I want you to say, no, Ken, this is going to be a 10-win football team, and here's X, Y, Z, and you're not giving it to me.
And I don't know how anybody could say that. Outside of, the biggest homers, I don't even know if that building, they think they're winning 10 games. I would even think that just the way they talked. I mean, when Andrew Berry introduced, and I'm going to be hitting on this. People are going to be annoyed by it all year until maybe they start winning games, and then I'll never have to bring it up again. But they brought up that, hey, we're going to be a young team next year, and then young teams don't really win a lot in this league, and don't expect us to go get, veteran free agents. So this is it. This is going to be guys, this is all going to be about 2 rookie classes taking up a lot of snaps, and then Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward.
And who do you have?
That's what this team is.
Exactly.
That's not going to be a team expected to win a lot of games.
And so what you have now is you have a 6-year-old first-time head coach. And it's leading people to think that this could be closer to one and done. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. Kevin Stefanski, in the end, he had 2 playoff appearances. We can argue about how successful he was. In the end, it doesn't work out because nothing works out in the end. I don't know Todd Monken very well. He didn't seem to be in a great mood anytime he was walking by me in a hallway, which, again, that was 2019. Why would he be in a great mood? Clearly, he had reasons to not be in a good mood. I don't hold him accountable for any of that. That's fine. Or not being in a good mood. I don't hold it against him. I don't want to have to replace him next year. I don't want to, for that matter, I really don't want to have to replace Andrew Berry. And the more arguments that I hear, it's like, well, why do we even make the moves then, guys? If none of us can get excited about any of this, and none of can get excited and mean it, and give me good reasons behind it. If none of us can get excited and mean it, then what do we make these decisions for?
I think that's also part of it's a business, and they saw how empty that stadium was last year, and to just say we're running it back after 9 wins. And what NFL teams run it back after 9 wins in 2 years?
It's just like what the caller said. You start off 2-7, it's going to be just as empty as it was this last year.
Of course.
And Todd Monken ain't, no offense to Todd Monken, ain't going to save nothing. I don't want to make change for change's sake. It cannot be done in vain. So Todd Monken has to have a clear definition of what he's going to do. I'm not trying to put him behind to start off the season, to start things off. But the more arguments I hear, I'm like, guys, you're not making good points of why we made these decisions in the first place. The only good point, and I'll tell you what, the point that I would make is that, the strength of schedule's worse. So you're going to have a lot of bad teams, but they're also circling you. And I would hope that Todd Monken, if you're going to go down the Deshaun Watson route, fine. Go down the Deshaun Watson route. I'm not against kicking the tires on him if he were to earn the job in camp. But if we were thinking about that, I'd much rather go a Malik Willis route. I mean, if you're going to make change, make change. Make change for the better.
No Anthony Richardson?
No.
I've seen some people bring his name up because how cheap he's going to be.
He's big. He has a lot of injuries for how big he is.
And I've just never seen him play well.
He should be so much more durable than what he is.
And he pulled himself out of a game.
Is that red flag?
That's a faux pas.
You can't do that as a quarterback?
You can't do that. No, you can't do that. Football guys, no.
Can't come back from that?
It's hard to. I mean, there were a lot of you heard a lot of football guys, like actual players, not just goofballs on the radio claiming to be football guys like me. You had a lot of football guys who were like, no, you don't do that. Not as a quarterback. Like if somebody sees you and pulls you, that's one thing, but you can't.
And the thing is, Kenny, if you wanted to guarantee to win and you're going to laugh. If you wanted to, I know we got to go the guarantee to win more games, and I could tell you, all right, I could tell you you're going to get better quarterback play. I mean, that's Kyler Murray. Does any of us want Kyler Murray? No. I can get you more wins with Kyler Murray. With this defense?
No.
Why is everybody shaking there? I thought you wanted to win more games.
Shador.
I mean, Kyler's better than Shador right now. Does anybody dispute that? He's way better than Shador.
I mean, I want to.
But does anybody want that? Because
I haven't seen enough to tell me that he's way better than Shador.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to tell you.
I personally have not watched enough.
I think one guy works at his craft. I don't know about the other guy.
He works at Minecraft.
Thank you. World of Warcraft. What do you think of that one, Owen? You really can guarantee me Kyler Murray's better than Shedeur Sanders or anything we got?
Yes. I don't think you can't find it. There's no way. If you were to poll teams in the league, they'd be like, yes, Kyler Murray's better. Now, Kyler Murray comes with his own set of headaches, and there's a ceiling there.
That's why I don't think he's worth it.
Kyler Murray's had a bunch of huge games. You think Shedor's going to have a bunch of huge games this year?
I don't know. I'd like to see. Well, that's part of the reason you make the change, don't you? Because you want to see him opened up. So there you go. Hell, I'm giving you arguments, and I don't even believe it. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Owen, John, have a wonderful day. Bye. I'd buy tickets to see Miles, Denzel, Schlesinger, Grant. I think is a wonderful player. Really wonderful player. Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy. Bald